Hello and welcome to the Killstream. I am your host, Estan Ralph, the owner and the editor-in-chief of theralphreport.com. Yes, I sound like I'm inside of a tin can. I do apologize, but I'm live in Alexandria, Virginia. I was about to say the capital of the Confederacy again, but that's not true. I'm here in Alexandria. I know I sound like shit. Whatever. I can't help it, but I'm here. I can switch to the phone if you think that sounds better. We'll try that. They told me that this sounded better, but we'll see. Can they hear me, Gator? How bad is it?
Yes, they can hear you just fine. It's you do sound like you're coming out of a tin can, but you can't help it tonight. I'm controlling I'm the maestro behind the desk tonight.
And you know what? Fuck y'all. I might join in on the phone and try that in a minute. But I don't know. I can't tell the difference because I didn't have time to record and test. Anyway, Hoboken Slav says, let's fucking go. I can't yell here either because I'm in the hotel. Now, there were some that my computer actually froze during the middle of the intro. So I lost some of these. I know Lord Xenu said something very similar as well about let's fucking and going. Psycho, let's see. I'm trying to make sure I read. Psycho Gungnir also threw one. I can't see him though, like I said, because it accidentally erased them. Sure. Oh, it doesn't sound that bad. You know what? I just heard it for a minute. It's not that bad. Come on. Okay. Anyway, I'll stop talking. We have Black Skin is amazing. Vince James is here. This is pretty much the time right when we were supposed to start it. In terms of the debate, we were actually supposed to start the show a little bit earlier. But Cooper says Chris Hansen's audio sounds heavenly in comparison. Yes, thank you, sir.
Ouch. That's a deep cut.
You're going to make me try the phone later, aren't you, motherfucker? Black Skin told me the phone sounded better. So I'm not sure. That's what he said. Anyway, speaking of Black Skin, this is your first time back on the show in 2 years, sir. Uh-oh, he's gone. Yeah, go ahead.
Derek, what's up, baby?
Yes, this is your first time back on the show in 2 years. Introduce yourself for those who don't know you.
Black Skin. Easy. Foundational, like black people, right? Before we get started.
Wait.
You're cutting in and out a little bit.
No, just wait a second. Just hold on. Stop talking. Before we get started, you're right. Click. You see the little cogwheel down at the bottom that says user settings? Now hit that. Go to user settings. Then go to voice and video. You see that?
Hang on.
It's underneath app settings.
Oh, wow. I just clicked that and it made my Discord crash for a second.
I got it.
Okay, now unclick the check that says automatically determine input sensitivity. Unclick that and then pull the bar all the way to the left.
Unclick what?
It says automatically determine input sensitivity. Unclick that and pull the bar all the way to the left.
See automatically.
Oh my God, Gator, can you fucking show him? Oh man, I don't have a screenshot. Motherfucker.
Give me a second. I'll
Voice activity and push to talk. Input.
Yes, go down. Input sensitivity. Uncheck that.
Okay, I got it. Okay, go ahead.
Now uncheck that. Take the bar and pull it all the way to the left.
You mean on push to talk, right?
No. Don't turn on. Use voice activity. Use voice activity, and then you'll see an input sensitivity thing, and it says automatically determine input sensitivity. Make sure that the little circle thing is on the left, and then there'll be a little bar that you can drag.
It should look like this, Black Skin. Look at show links. It should look just like this. Do you see show links?
No, I can't. I'm on the page. So, okay. Input sensitivity. Just push it all the way to the left, you're saying?
All the way to the left, yeah.
All the way to the left. Yes.
I did it.
Okay. All right. We're good.
Yeah,
I've had to do this about 1,300 times on the stream, so sorry if I'm a little prickly about it.
Is that better?
Yes,
it is, yes.
That's so much better. Anyway, go ahead.
All right, cool.
Go ahead. It's your time. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Oh, yeah. My name is Black Skin is amazing, and I'm a proud American because if you talk about what is American, there's no more American as far as being a true American than Black Americans. Dinesh D'Souza, who's no friend of Black, said, yes, it's true. If you want to talk about true Americans, right, the true Americans are Black people, Black African Americans. I'm not talking about Black immigrants from Jamaica, Nigeria. I'm talking about Black Americans who have ancestry through Jim Crow and chattel slavery. Denise D'Souza said, yes, they are the true Americans. Think about it, folks. America was literally founded on us, right? All American music was created by us. Rock and roll, country, hillbilly, rap, jazz, pop, big band, you name it. Virtually all American music created by black people, stolen by white people, of course, cultural appropriated. But when you think about it, as Denise D'Souza has determined, we black Americans are the true Americans. Therefore, we must get respect from all white people, whether you're foreign, just coming in, whatever. So that's where I'm coming from. This whole debate will be coming from that point of view. Denise D'Souza, that we black Americans who have ancestry in Jim Crow and chattel slavery, we are the true Americans, and we must be respected at all costs. Okay, there we go.
Mr. James, welcome back, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, I've actually talked with Black Skin is Amazing before on my show, like a couple of years ago. I think he called in, and I actually kind of agreed with the chat at first when I first met him. I thought he was a troll because some of the things that he says are just like so off the wall, absurd.
By the way, can I say this real quick? This is actually a rematch.
Go ahead.
This is actually a rematch because you went at him with James Alsop on this show 2 years ago. So if people want to watch that,
wait, was it with James? Was it really with James?
I believe so.
It was with James Alsop.
Now, I don't know I don't remember if it was both of you at the same time or he just.
It was both at the same time.
Yeah. Okay, but I do remember that. Yeah, so I
remember when he called into my show. I remember that. I don't particularly remember debating him with.
It was May 10th. May 10th, 2018, episode 103. James Alsop on Sargon, Black Nationalist comes on, plus Shoe on Head / Lauren Southern. That was the episode. It's on BitChute, actually.
I think you called in or something. Like, you weren't scheduled, and Black Skin was on.
I wasn't scheduled. I just called in.
Yeah, something like that. I don't remember. But you talked to him on the show, so I want to say.
Yeah.
Now, you were saying, you said people thought he was a troll and all that.
Yeah, everyone thought he was a troll. People are thinking that he's a troll in your chat right now. But I just want to say this. I don't disagree with you that blacks are Americans, but I just want to clarify something that you said. Did you say that blacks are more Americans than white Americans? Is that what you're saying?
We are the true Americans.
The true Americans.
Yes,
okay.
yes.
What does that mean, though? Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, America was founded on us. Without us, there would be no America. So that's what I mean about true America. Not only
can you explain why, though? Can you explain why America was founded on black people?
Oh, easy.
That's what you said.
I'm just going to give you a snapshot, right? I can go deeper. Forget deep. A snapshot.
Okay.
The greatest American that ever lived, George Washington. He owned 1,000 slaves, right? He was the first president. He was the one that really brought all the states together to become America. Right? But yet he was undergirded by 1,000 slaves that he owned and controlled. Right? Thomas Jefferson wrote the Declaration of Independence, separation from Britain. He owned over 1,000 slaves. He was undergirded by slavery. James Madison, who wrote, he is the father of the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. He owned hundreds of slaves. He too was undergirded by black slaves. The vast majority of the signers of the Declaration of Independence, 41 out of 57, slave owners. The vast majority of the signers of the Constitution, the founding fathers, slave owners. The first 10 out of 12 presidents, slave owners. And if you count John Adams and Quincy Adams, his son, being his mother, John Adams' wife came from a slave-owning family. So that would make 12 out of 12 presidents the first slave owners or married into slave-owning families. That's what I mean about us blacks being the true Americans. This mother effer was literally founded on us, black America.
So you think that without the slaves, America wouldn't be the country that it is today, like so great? Do you agree that America is a great country?
Yeah, great country for white people. Yeah, you're absolutely for white people.
Okay, so it's a great country for white people. But do you think that without the slaves, that America would be? What do you think that America would look like without slavery? Like if the slaves didn't come here, because you're saying that it was completely built off the backs of slaves. Slaves made it great. Black people made it great. They're the true Americans. What sort of illustrate for us what you think America would look like without slaves?
Mr. James Vincent?
Yeah.
I don't have to imagine what America would look like without blacks. It was already trying. 1607 and 1607 to 1610, right? There was 500 plus white Europeans that landed in Jamestown, right? They literally all starved to death or died from diseases. It was so bad after 3 years, 1610, they were eating their own feces. You can Google it, everyone. I said it before, and the last time me and you talked. It's called the starving time. No blacks around. It was just the white man and the Indians. And they'll check this out.
What do their countries look like, though, that they came from?
No. Let me finish.
No, you're right. I understand. I know history.
So
I know the history that you're referring to. But my question is,
without black slaves.
Well, here's the thing. You're saying that America is great today because of the slaves that came here. George Washington, he only did what he did because of the slaves that he had. What I'm asking is, what do you think America would look like today if the slaves had never come to America?
I'm telling you, there would be no America. They were eating their own shit in 1610. Literally, dude.
But the countries... But you understand... I mean, you have to understand something. When they came over here, they were exposed to all sorts of different diseases. They had to figure out how to survive here. But the countries that they came from were prosperous. They came here, like you look at the Haitian Revolution, for instance, right? You look at all the images, the illustrations that have been done about the Haitian revolutions, and you see the Haitians fighting off the Europeans with clubs and sticks. Well, in the background, you see these massive ships and these massive cannons and guns and all sorts of higher technology than the natives of Haiti had. So it was the same situation here. We came here, yeah, we had to figure out how to survive. We had to figure out how to thrive here. We eventually did, by the way. And the countries that we came from were prospering. We had major, giant castles. And the places that we colonized, for the most part, if we're talking about certain countries, didn't even have two-story structures. Were fighting us off with clubs and sticks. So what I'm asking you is, do you think that America would be just a shithole without slavery? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. You admit it. 1610 is called the starving time. You white people were eating your own shit. Dude, for real. And remember,
do you understand what's going on in Haiti right now? Do you understand that Haitians right now in 2020 are eating mud?
Hey,
you understand? You understand that there's many Africans right now literally eating feces in 2020. We're talking about hundreds of years ago, and you're saying that because they were eating their shit, that America would have been a shithole because they were eating shit back then? Is that what you're? I mean, honestly, I really am starting to think that you're a troll. I understand. This is why I was just like, you know what? I'm not even going to prepare for this. This is just going to be a laughing, laugh.
No, Vince, I'm serious. This is on record. You guys were eating your own shit. I mean, that's on record. I'm
amazing.
It's funny.
Amazing.
It's literal.
Amazing.
I didn't expect this to be the shit-eating debate here on the
Okay, so I guess what I want to say, and I guess we can move on to something else like the Black Lives Matter riots and things like this if you guys want to talk about that. But
yes.
If you look at like South and Central America, they got millions of more slaves. Millions of more slaves. Are South and Central America, do they look like they're prospering? Like, do they appear to be prosperous right now? I mean, you understand that it was only a portion of the South that owned slaves. It wasn't the entire country that owned slaves. I don't know where you're getting this from. The South and Central America got 4 million more slaves. South and Central America got 4 million more slaves. As a matter of fact, I think Brazil alone, got millions more slaves than North America did. And Brazil is not doing too great right now. There are certain parts of Brazil that are nice, but I've been to Brazil. There are certain parts that are nice, but Brazil is not like something to strive to be. You understand what I'm saying? So there's no argument for slavery making America as great that it is. Now, I don't disagree with you that blacks are Americans. Of course they are. They've been here for 400 years, at least like the non-immigrant ones, right? But to say that blacks are the true Americans or the ones that built America, it's just objectively false.
Hey, James.
Yes.
Look at the founding fathers, right?
Okay. Look at the founding fathers.
Okay, hang on. Let me switch it. Why do you think they imported 800,000 black kidnap victims to America? hang on, if the white man could have did it all by himself, right? And you admit you were eating their own shit and eating each other, they were cannibals. That's a fact, right? So if the white man could have did it all by himself, right? And they really didn't start importing black kidnap victims to America until 1700. So the white man literally had 100 years to himself. And it was still, at the end of the 1600s, a shithole. The Indians had to teach the white man, the Pilgrims, and Jamestown how to survive. Pocahontas' story. Her dad had to feed the white people or they would have starved to death. White people were shit in America, man. You guys were living in the show for 100 years. That's the only reason you imported us. Not you, but white people, because you couldn't do it. You had 100 years by yourself, dude. So you can't keep deflecting to Haiti and Jamaica and Brazil and Belize. No! You had 100 fucking years to yourself from 1607 to the end of the 1600s. Almost all white people, almost no blacks, right? And you guys are still eating your own shit. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? You know, we could have did all blacks. Why do you think they went to Africa to get kidnapped victims? To be the foundation. If white man could have did it himself, he would have did it. I mean, what the fuck are you talking about?
The white man did do it by himself in the countries that they came from, and they were trying to.
Wait, black skin, let him talk.
Okay,
let him talk.
Yeah, so excuse me. So the white man came from the countries that were thriving, right? That were is in terms of progress way more advanced than the countries that they colonized, and they tried to set up shop there. Now, no matter what amount of time it may have taken, what they may have went through, that is irrelevant in this particular situation. For you to say that white people on their own would not have thrived without black people or Native American is preposterous to me and ahistorical. You just look at the countries that they came from. And then, if we want to fast forward it to today, in today's time, we can look at the cities, the towns, the states where there's an average population of white Americans that are 90+%, and they're some of the safest, most prosperous cities, states, and towns in America. Now, on the contrary, if you compare that to, for instance, St. Louis, Baltimore, Detroit, some of these cities within the United States of America that are majorly black, they are some of the most dangerous cities, not only in America, but in the entire world. We look at many third world cities throughout Central and South America, and statistically, they're far more dangerous than St. Louis, Baltimore, Detroit, Jackson, Mississippi, some of the parts of South Side of Chicago. Statistically, this is true. You are safer, and I've said this before on my show, you are safer in Rio de Janeiro, despite having worse poverty, worse education, than you are in a place like St. Louis. And what I wanted to get to today is because I thought that we were going to talk about the BLM riots, not like
we are
consuming feces on the show today. But what I wanted to get to
subject, Vince. I didn't expect
right.
anything to
Well, I wanted to ask a question. I wanted to ask a question too. Black skin is amazing. Amazing. You should put amazing in there. You should drop the E, by the way. Black skin is amazing. And I wanted to ask a question. The question is number one, do you agree with the Black Lives Matter movement? And number two, if so, the question that I've posed to people before is how can a group that commits over 50% of all of the homicide in the country, over 90% of all the interracial attacks between blacks and whites, the highest rate of rape, but the highest rate of assault, homicide of thousands of other blacks annually, they make up over 33% of all cop killers, the highest hate crime rate, by the way. How can this group of people call themselves victims in America and we allow them to call themselves victims? That's my question to Black Skin is Amazing. Do you agree? And why do we allow this group of people to call themselves the victims in America?
Well, hang on. You didn't answer my question. I asked you a specific question. I'll answer yours, but you can answer mine first.
I already answered your question.
No, hang on. You said that the white man could have did it by himself, right?
He did. He's done it before. He's done it before hundreds of times. All the countries. He's done it before. He's done it before. Why couldn't he do it again?
It's my turn to speak. Hey, you guys in 1610 were eating your own shit and eating each other, right? You had 100 years to yourself, still a shithole, right? Why do you think then at the end of the 1600s, the white man imported almost 1 million blacks to America? Just that, answer that question alone. Why do you think white Americans
because we could.
No, hang on. Having
Because
almost
we could.
100 years for themselves, why did they have to import 800,000 kidnapped blacks to America? Just answer that. Why? If they could have did it on their own, why?
Well, I mean, first of all, it really was cheap labor. They saw it as cheap labor. Now, later on, we found out that economically it didn't really pan out, um, as far as compared to, like, if we're comparing it to, like, after the age of the Industrial Revolution. But I mean, do you think that are you under the assumption that only white people own slaves? Is that what you're thinking here? Because from what I remember, from history that I remember, if we look at the Arab slave trade, this commenced hundreds of years prior to the transatlantic slave trade and is literally still going on today, partly due to Barack Obama's foreign policy in Libya, where Arabs are literally castrating blacks and selling them on a slave market right now. So, because we took out Gaddafi, there is a slave trade happening right now in Libya where Africans, right now in 2020, are being castrated and sold into slavery by Arabs. Arabs were the first, or one of the first. There were many black, of course. If we look at the Moorish invasion of Sicily, of Spain, but Arabs were the biggest slavers throughout history, hundreds of years prior to the transatlantic slave trade. And if we look at the Arab slave trade, many historians, black historians, have referred to that slave trade as the African Holocaust. 13 million Africans, it is said, to be killed during the Arab slave trade. So, what do you think? Are Arab countries prosperous right now? Are all of the Arab countries prosperous because of slavery? I just don't understand where you're coming from here. What you're trying to argue is that white people without black people would be eating shit right now, is what you're trying to argue, when we can look at all of the countries that everyone wants to go to, even like the Hollywood stars. When they say, I'm moving because of Trump, where do they say that they're going to move to? Oh, we're going to move to Iceland. Oh, we're going to go to Sweden. Oh, we're going to go to Denmark or Canada or whatever European country that you can name. Those countries were prosperous before the Europeans came to North America. Furthermore, there are many European countries that didn't participate in this. There are many Northern European countries that had no participation in this whatsoever and are some of the best run countries in the world right now. In fact, a lot of the Norse countries.
You seem a little jealous when you mentioned that, but anyway, yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I'm just kidding about the slaves.
Yeah.
And they have some of the associated problems with it too, though, right? I mean, is that what you're getting at? So, yeah, go ahead.
I missed your last part. What'd you say?
Don't worry about it. You can't hear me anyway. Go ahead. My mic's sucks.
Oh, but that's all I wanted. All I wanted to get to. And when we're talking about eating shit, I mean, it's just so ridiculous, because literally in African countries and in Haiti right now, they're like eating shit and mud. So I mean, we're talking about hundreds of years ago versus 2020, and you want to bring up eating feces or consuming feces? It's just ridiculous. And you can keep repeating yourself, but it's still not going to make your point valid.
No, hang on. Everyone, notice what Vince is doing. You're deflecting, brother. You're going to Europe, Africa, Brazil. We're talking
about Europeans. We're talking about Europeans.
We're talking about America, brother.
No, we're talking about Europeans.
No,
we're talking about Anglos.
I got you. Vince, I got
you. We're literally talking about Anglos right now. That was
we're talking about America. You're deflecting, dude.
Wait a minute. Do you think that Americans came to America to colonize America? Is that what, like, do you think that Americans came from like the West Coast and sailed around and then came to the East Coast and settled there and then all of a sudden just started eating their own shit? Like, who do you think came over here to colonize North America? What the fuck are you talking about? We're talking about
you don't know history. No, Vince, you don't know history. You don't. Because they came for, like, the Spaniards came down in South America and made riches. These white Europeans came for riches. They didn't come to colonize. They came for riches. And they ended up eating their own shit. And so they kept getting more.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
So hang on. And then they kept sending more and more, right? And they kept failing and failing and failing for decades. That's why the white man in America reported 800,000 black kidnap victims, because the white man couldn't do it himself. And he realized we need somebody to come and build the foundation for us so we can build on top. And the only one that can do that was the black African. They tried the indentured servitude of the Irish and the poor English and beat the shit out of them. They died. They tried enslaving the Indians. They died. So they came and got the black African and shipped us halfway around the world. come to be the foundation. There is no other reason for us to be here than to be the foundation. We didn't come here to just drink Kool-Aid and chill on the beach. We came here to be the foundation. Understand? That's why in 1860, black slaves in the South, 4 million, were worth more than everything in the North. Every house, every household, every building, every manufacturing company, every city in the North, black slaves, 4 million in the South, worth 4 billion back in those times, were worth more than the entire North. Understand what I'm saying? That's why we're the foundation. Not only the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, the American flag was created by slave owners. Everything you name American comes from black people, on the backs of black people. You want to talk about the Irish building the railroads and buildings? Where did that money come from? It came from black slaves to profit off of slavery, cotton, sugar, tobacco, indigo, taxes. That's where those white motherfuckers got that money to build railroads. Why did the Irish came over afterwards?
Do you understand? Do you understand when when most of?
Do you understand? I'm gonna let you finish up this topic, and then we will. I'm gonna read the super chat.
Yeah,
and we will move to the right.
Yeah, it's just.
I'm done. I'm done with this.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm gonna let him. It's cool. Let him
Wait,
speak.
what?
Wait.
Oh, okay, okay.
No, he just no history, dude. I'm done. Let's move on.
All right, go ahead. Let him get one rejoinder in though. Go ahead, Vince. You wanted to say something?
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, you have to realize exactly when most of the infrastructure of what we know now today as America was built. When was it built? It was built mostly after the Industrial Revolution. If we're thinking about like the canals, the roads, the bridges, the railroads, most of the railroads we had Chinese come over here and build, but a lot of the canals, the bridges,
And
a lot of the roads, a lot of the buildings.
That is a lie, Vince. You don't know history.
You want to talk about not knowing history? You want to talk about not knowing history? Are we talking about the railroad? You think that like blacks built every single building? By the way, excuse me. Can you just please control yourself? Can you please control yourself without, please?
Hold on.
Vince, like you're butchering American history. You don't know.
Why can't you control yourself?
All right.
Because you're butchering American history. Like, yeah, the Chinese built all the railroads. Are you fucking kidding me? All the railroads in the South.
It is a dude. Okay, it's okay. I let you speak.
Let Vince speak. And also, this is a little bit off the beaten path. Who built the?
I'm done. Go ahead. Finish.
It is a fact. It is a fact that most of the infrastructure in America was built by Irish and Italian immigrants. That is a fact. That is undebatable. I mean, even you can go to history.com and you'll find this. This is like mainstream history. This isn't some like esoteric history that I'm quoting here. That is a fact. Okay, to say that whites would be eating their own feces right now without blacks is hilarious. And no one would actually believe that except really stupid people or trolls. If you're trolling, I'm not sure, but that's just ridiculous. So we can leave it there and we can move on to something else if you'd like.
Yeah, let's do that. Please, let's do that. But let me read these. Let me read these. I know my mic sucks. I apologize if you joined us late. I'm in a hotel in Alexandria, Virginia. It couldn't be helped. And I didn't have my Rode microphone. Actual Rode microphone and Rode microphone. A double entendre there. Giorgio,
why didn't you bring your Rode microphone with you?
Because I always brought it. I know. I love the Rode microphone. That's the one I take with me. But I lost.
Are you going to read super chats? Can I go get something to drink real quick?
Yeah, go get something to drink.
Okay.
I lost the microphone cable to it, so that's what happened. Giorgio1 says, this is a Ninja Genie, by the way. How is George Washington the greatest American if he's not a true American? That's for you, Blackskin.
Oh, he's an American, no doubt about it. White people that come from the antebellum period, they're Americans, but we're true Americans. Like when I say true American,
blacks are American.
Yeah, right. The foundation. Okay, we're the foundation of America. That's what I mean by true America. And all Americans music, remember, rock and roll, country, jazz, hillbilly, pop, rap.
Wait, you taking credit for country and folk and bluegrass too? How is that possible?
I said hillbilly.
Okay, all right. You get them all though. All right, hey, hold on.
Now, hang on. The banjo that white people love to play, that came straight from the African slave boats, man. It came over with the banjo. Even Thomas Jefferson said for a fact, the banjo, which is the white people, bluegrass, hillbilly, whatever, you see the banjo? That came distinctly from black Africans. Thomas Jefferson said that.
You know, a lot of this culture started creeping in after after the segregation period ended. So what I'm thinking is right now that I'm thinking about this, even though it's like such a preposterous statement, now that I'm thinking about this, I figure that likely if that didn't happen, that a lot of American culture would probably consist of what it consisted of prior, right? So a lot of Italian culture, a lot of Anglo culture, a lot of maybe Irish culture, a
A lot of
lot of
shit.
well, I mean, those countries are far better off than any African country right now.
Hey,
And
I'm
also,
American,
if we want to
I'm
talk about taking 200 years after we've also, if you want to talk about taking 200 years, we really can look at a few countries and see how long they've been free for and how they still are literally eating mud right now in 2020. So, I mean, if you want to go that route down the dirty path, we can really get dirty today. But, I'd rather have like an academic debate.
Yeah, I understand. Okay,
Right.
now let me.
Hang on. I want to ask this a question.
Wait, no. Let me read these. They paid me money to read these. Dyslexia I have says it's now known that it was more effective and efficient to pay people for the same labor that slaves did, but there was already too much investment in the slave trade to switch over. Studio ICANN says pretty sure black skin has a shit eating fetish. That was over on interviewstream.live/the Ralph Retort. A-hole Anderson with the Ninja Guinea says blacks whining about 400 years of slavery when Celts dealt with 800. Slavery doesn't make you special. A Ninja Guinea from Blind Hobo Joe says, wait, American infrastructure is made of cotton? Let me also scroll up because there's a few more, and I'm going to speed through some of these. Oh, shit. How far up? Tits or ass? That doesn't really fit. Maybe I'll try to ask them later. If you want to answer, tits or ass, Vince? I don't know. Fuck. I think we asked you this. Did we not? I don't remember. I know what black skin
ass.
Yeah, no, I'm an ass guy too.
I'm going to say, we don't even have to ask. Yeah, we know the deal there. He's an ass man. All right. Spickmit says, you're here. That is all that matters. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Wildbagger says, did you borrow Bronx Blogger's microphone? Kyler Subculture says, Ralph's on that Boost Mobile 3G tonight. Psycho Gung Near says, so who Aniba got to suck to get in a call in link? We'll throw that out there. Scrublord Man says, you should follow at One Angry Gamer HD on Twitter, Ethan. Okay, I'll check that out. I thought I followed him already. Really serious news. Just says in. Lord Xenu WC Law says, what the fuck? George Washington didn't bring the states together. Yeah, well, that's a longer story. Anyway, we won't use that. Overton Shiv says, if we knew this, we would have mowed our lawns. But Maximus the Merciful says, slaves had as much to do with the founding as oxen. Plunger Rumple says, life doesn't get better than this. Thank you, Ralph. Solid Snake says, unlike his ancestors, BSIA keeps owning himself. All right, that was decent. Chauvinist says, black people are the albatross around the neck of the USA. Jack says, everything built was destroyed in the Civil War. Land of Dixie says, we was country stars and shit. Psycho Gungnir says, eat the poo-poo. Chauvinist says, Africans still eat their own shit today. Maximus the Merciful says, farming equipment helped write the Constitution. Overton Shiv says, life, like explaining chess to a pigeon, no point. Mick says, so the retards that eat their own shit are in control. Castonia says, I take it that the argument is the shit. Deadbolt 7 says, the only race that has walked on the moon, white. The Horrible Gamer says, a slave was a tool to get over. Wait, was just a tool, get over it. Base Nibba says, then how is there white supremacy if they eat poop? Chauvinist says, white people were shit, yet they own you. I guess he meant ate shit. I don't know. I have a hernia. Just hold on. I'm going to get through them. If I don't read them all like this, we'll never get through. I have a hernia says, if white men sucked, how could they enslave blacks? Mick says, so you got taken over by the shit eaters? You look bad. Mick says, being taken over by... Okay, we get it. Taken over by shit eaters. Makes you look bad. The Red Raven says, look at Europe, then look at Africa. Enough said. Maximus the Merciful says, whites paid tribal chiefs in Africa for their POWs. BG White says, tell them what tribe really brought them, Vince. All right. Lord Senior WT Laws says, black skin doesn't know American history at all. A-hole Anderson says his entire argument is they eat the poo-poo. Lord Xenu WC Law says you came here to pick vegetables and cotton. Arius Augusta says, so you got kidnapped by weak people who ate shit. Nurak says, what is BS? He wants to talk about something. We'll try to introduce that later. I have a hernia that says pee-pee poo-poo is no longer just a bit on the Killstream.
It's the literal pee-pee poo-poo.
Wow. Does the hammer build the house or the carpenter? Neela Moon, who is African American. I feel like a SJW pointing that out, but She says, black skin. We was true Americans. We was kangs. Yank my crank. Just subscribe monthly. Thank you very kindly for that. I have Hernia says, do you not deny blacks invented everything like jogging? All right. Mega Meme says, whose skin was more amazing, Prince or Hitler's? You know what? We'll work that in later. CJ Seagull says, yes, I can buy lemons again. Very good. Just a White Guy says, white should be separated away to stop oppression. BG White says, is he saying they had snare drums in Africa? CGI Seagull says, oh my God, banjo was the first example of appropriation. LOL. Chauvinist says, blacks destroyed infrastructure of Rhodesia and South America. Now let me refresh, because I'm not going to take another break for super chats for like 20 or 30 minutes. So we can get this next topic in. I do see one over on Stream Elements. How drunk is this arrogant shitbag? How much rioting has he engaged in? Go be a shitbag somewhere else. This guy's incapable of honest discussion. Regardless, just hang up on this asshole, Ralph. I booked him on the show. Why would I? No. I'm fully aware of who Black Skin is amazing is. He's been on the show twice. Now, it's been a couple of years, but I knew what we were in store for. Now, let's talk about the riots. Since I gave him the first salvo last time, I'll give it to you now, Vince. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I guess I'll just start off with the question that I asked before. If we have Black Lives Matter rioting in the street. As a matter of fact, there was a couple of black people who have already been killed, innocent black people, unarmed black people who have already been killed by other black people. They just released the security footage of the killers of David Dorn. He was killed over a TV, which happens all the times in a lot of these areas all across the country. So my question that I want to ask Black Skin is amazing is that how can the group that commits over half of all the homicide in the country, over 90% of all the interracial attacks between blacks and whites, over 33% of all of the homicides of cops in the country, the highest rate of rape, the highest rate of assault, the highest rate of hate crimes, by the way, the highest likelihood of being in a hate group, how can that group of people call themselves the victims in this particular scenario? That's my question to Black Skin is amazing. Go ahead if you want to answer that.
Have you heard of slavery, shadow slavery, and Jim Crow? 350 years.
What is shadow slavery? Can you explain that?
That's 90% of the time we've been in America. We've been violated in the worst ways by white Americans. From shadow slavery and Jim Crow, that's 90% of the time. So that's why we're victims. 90% of the time we've been on this soil.
Now, can you explain shadow slavery? Explain shadow slavery real quick, because I don't think everybody understands the concept.
Shadow slavery is when somebody owns you like you own a chair, like shadow, like you own a cattle, a horse, a dog, whatever. It's like when you do a estate sale. Everything's on sale, right? The bed, the couches. Well, they would include slaves. Part of that estate sale. You got slaves, you got the couches, you got the bed. That's what a shadow slave is. No different from owning a cow, a couch, a car. That's what shadow slavery is.
That sounds just like regular slavery. That's what I was.
No, there's all types of slavery. There's many slave societies that they couldn't sell you and your kids together, like, right?
Oh, okay. Put you all together. Yeah. There were different rules in different places. Okay. Yeah. All right.
So for 90%,
go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
For 90% of the time, that's been our lot in America. 90% of the time. So that's why we're victims. We're victims because you white people pillaged us, looted us for 350 years. No one can doubt that. No one can sit there and say, yeah, Black Skin, you're wrong. No, they were like, yes, shadow slavery, we looted blacks. Jim Crow, we looted blacks. You white people have looted us blacks for 350 years, and we laugh because you're crying about a couple of TVs when you looted our families, you sold our children during Jim Crow, right? You white people used to barbecue us as entertainment for the 10,000 white people.
Don't forget using your skin to make wallets too.
Yeah, that too, and suitcases. That's a fact. So you white people looted us black people in the most vile of ways, and you complain about some TV sets or some burned down stores. That's how ridiculous white people are in America.
You forgot the lampshades. Did you know that whites back in during slavery, they were literally skinning blacks alive and using their skin to make lampshades?
They did it all, dude. You guys used to cook us and bake us.
Now, wait a minute. I've not heard of cooking and baking. I must say, I will leave the other allegations where they sat. But anyway, go ahead.
Amazing.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
So that's why we're victims. We're victims because of 350 years of the world's history worst violation of humanity. White America did. Before I stop, even George Washington, John Adams, James James Madison, Abraham Lincoln. They all said treated these blacks worse than any human in human history. This is what the founding fathers and Abraham Lincoln said. Like, the way we treated our blacks in America is the worst treatment of any human beings in history. This is what they said. So that's why we're victims today, because of the worst treatment over 350 years known to mankind. Of course we're going to be victims. 90% of the time we've been here. So go ahead, Vince. Take it.
Yeah, no, it's not just stealing a few TVs or a couple of bikes here and there. It's a lot more than that. We're talking about literally over half of all of the homicides in the country. We're talking about over 90% of the interracial crime. We're talking about the highest rate of hate crimes. We're talking about most of the cop killers. We're talking about the highest rate of assault and the highest rate of rape, and basically all of the interracial rape that occurs in this country. Now, when we look at these crime rates and we look at them over time, we can see that these crime rates have gotten for most of this have gotten progressively worse since the era of slavery, since the era of Jim Crow, since the era of segregation. The out of wedlock rate for Black Americans has gotten worse since the era of Jim Crow, progressively worse. It went from 20% in the 1960s. It's at about 75% today. Now, listen, I understand. I understand that it's very easy to tell people to clean their room when their room looks like shit. Just look at Jordan Peterson. There's videos and pictures floating around of his room. He's like in drug rehab now. You know, his room is completely a mess. His life is a mess. Now, granted, there are some bad things that he went through in his life. I understand that, but he's not a victim. But he's telling other people to clean his room when his room is a lot messier here. Now, this is sort of the argument and the analogy that I'm making for Black Americans in this country, is that they're constantly getting excuses. They're not being held accountable for, not only are they not being held accountable for their out of wedlock rate, which they should be able to fix since it's gotten worse since Jim Crow, it's gotten worse since slavery. As a matter of fact, the Black American family was stronger and more prosperous prior 50 years ago than it was today. The crime rates were lower 50, 60 years ago for the Black community than it was today. And I understand it's easier to tell people to clean their room when your room is a mess, but we can't do that anymore. We don't have time to not hold people accountable anymore. It's time to start telling the truth, and specifically for the out of wedlock rate, the fatherlessness in the Black community. There has to be something done about that. And it starts with Blacks in their own community. If you want police to stop policing you at higher rates than white Americans, if you want police to stop policing you at higher rates than Hispanic Americans or than Asian Americans, you have to fix yourself. If you don't hold yourself accountable for the outcomes of your actions, then nothing will ever change. It's like when you talk to your children, if you're constantly explaining away their bad actions on ADD and then prescribing them with copious amounts of Adderall, they're just going to get progressively worse. And this is how I look at the Black community. You are not victims. You commit the highest rates of crime for almost every single crime in this country. That has gotten worse since slavery, and it's time to start holding people accountable. I hold myself accountable for my actions. I hold my children accountable for their actions. Everyone else holds themselves accountable for their actions. And on slavery, if we're just going on slavery, using that as an excuse to act a fool, then we can go to, we can go to several different invasions throughout history. The Moorish invasion of Spain, the Moorish invasion of Sicily. We can go to a lot of Europeans who were enslaved for a very, very, very long time. We're not using this as an excuse to act a fool. Cops kill more white people than Black people on a yearly basis. They kill more unarmed white people than Black people on a yearly basis. More Black cops, I believe, kill more white people than white cops kill Black people, since there are hundreds of more white people who die at the hands of police. We don't look at this and say, well, it's time to fucking burn the city down. It's time to burn your city to the ground. We have never done that. There was a white kid who was kidnapped in Chicago and tortured by a group of Black Americans called Cracker and spit on, and he was made to drink toilet water. This was rarely covered in the media. We saw this. A lot of people saw this. A lot of people shared this with their friends in a text message, so on and so forth. We didn't say, well, it's fucking all Blacks are racist. It's time to fucking burn the city down. No, we realize, we look at things objectively, we analyze things, and then we make a decision not based on emotion or impulsivity, but we make a decision based on objective truths. Are all black people racist? No, but a certain higher percentage of them are a higher percentage of them are more racist than white people, I would argue. Are all black people criminals? No, of course not. If we look at the highest homicide rate in St. Louis, in America, St. Louis, it's still 60 per 100,000, 60 out of every 100,000 people. And this goes for robbery, rape, aggravated assault. It's still a small amount of people, but it's higher than whites. It's not saying all black. We don't say all blacks are racist or all blacks are rapists or all blacks are criminals. We notice patterns. We see the patterns. We all instinctively know. But it's not time to not hold people accountable. It's time to hold people accountable. And that's basically what I'm going to leave off with here in this.
Okay, are you going to read a Bible? Hang on. Are you going to read a Bible verse, Vince?
Yes. You want me
Go
to?
ahead. I mean, you just did an entire video.
All right, yeah. Was that an entire video? I know I can't post this to YouTube right now. Like after all of that's been said, like there's no fucking way I'm going to be able to post this to YouTube. Like after all that's been said in the beginning, maybe I'll be able to post clips.
You can
but
clip it. Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
You really think they would get that mad over shit eating discussion?
I don't know. I don't know. You never know with YouTube. I really wish they were better on this. It's really pissing me off, honestly. Like it's so annoying to like be careful with what you say. It's so annoying because it's constantly in the back of your head. You know what I mean? On D Live, I'm sort of.
To me, that would be okay, but it's like, do you really want to risk it over something, a shit-eating conversation?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I can understand that. Yeah, go ahead and say what you were going to say about D Live real quick.
Wait, what?
You said you were going to say something about D Live. Sorry, I have to speak more clearly.
No. I was just saying that it's a lot more. It's like D Live is a lot more lax than YouTube. I mean, I know that you've been punished on here, punished Ralph on D Live, but it's certainly a lot more.
He worked to earn that one, though.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I sort of heard the story, but like really didn't care, so I just sort of moved on.
Yeah, we don't have to go.
I mean, I cared that you got censored, but I'm just saying, like, I didn't really care because I heard it was like sort of like, yeah, we don't have to go into it. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, they gave me a punishment. No, it's not that bad. I'm still here, obviously.
But wasn't it like check me.
Away. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, they took your verified check mark away.
Yeah.
I see. But that was it then? That was the only punishment?
That was it. And, well, there was another thing I won't get into now. But
okay. Punished Ralph.
Now, let's see. Blackskin, I think it was you talking, right? Go ahead. You were criticizing the length of the segment.
Yeah, it was such a long rant.
Go on for as long as you want. I'm
not, because it's all you're doing is regurgitating your videos. That's all. I've seen enough of them, so that's all you're doing. So I
appreciate you watching, man. Drop a like.
But you gaslighted. You just drop like 1,000 points, bullet points in 2 minutes. Like shotgun style. So it's like, so let's slow it down because this is. Okay, let me ask you before I break down your crime stats, right? Why are you so concerned? Okay, first of all, you and the super chat. Notice how you in the super chat, you whites, you still deflect. You're always bringing up Europe and Africa. I'm an American. We're the truest Americans. I've been here for 40 years, my people, right? The reason why you, Vince, and the super chat people have to deflect to Europe and Africa because you have no point in America, and you know it. Because if you had a point, then you would stay in America. But you have to deflect. So I laugh when you guys talk about Africa and Europe. That's them. That's not me. My people's been here for 400 or 500 years. We're the true Americans. So I laugh about that. Like when you're talking about, hey, they're still eating shit in Africa and they're cutting out people's balls in Africa. That's them. I got shit to do with that. That's them. They can keep cutting each other's balls off and eating shit like you whites did in America. Go ahead. I don't give a fuck. That's them. I'm an American. We've been here for 400 or 500 years. This is my country. That's their country. It's not a nation. It's a continent. So even when you say Africa, what part? What nation? It's like saying Europe. Well, what country? You just can't say Europe. You got to say what country you're talking about. Just to make that point, I laugh at you, Vince, your super chat, because when you deflect like that and go to South America and the Caribbean and Africa and Europe, that shows you're defeated. That's why I don't have to go to those countries because I know I got you, Vince. I got your super chat.
Wait, I didn't send the super chat.
I didn't understand that. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. What do you mean you got it about the super chat?
Let me ask you a question, Vince, since I got that out the way. Reflection is a sign of defeat. Now, Why are you so concerned about America? And I ask you this, right? Because you said on your show that your grandparents came to America from Ireland and Italy, right? And your wife came, hang on, and your wife came here 20 years ago from Brazil. So you're not even American to me, man. You're like a dollar American. You didn't build shit. Your ancestors in Europe and Ireland and Italy. They're not even American. It's like you're a vulture.
Discount American.
Hey Vince, why did your grandparents come from Italy and Ireland? To be vultures, to eat off what was built off Black Americans and white Americans. You have no ancestry here outside of your grandparents. That is not even ancestry, dude. You're like basically a foreigner. Your wife, you got a beautiful wife. I'm not putting your wife in. I'm just saying that your wife is a foreigner. And you're complaining about H-1B1 visas and immigrants. Your wife is an immigrant. Your kids, what mother is an immigrant? Your parents just been here for like you're like second generation, first generation? You're not even American.
Yeah. Would that be second generation? I don't know. Would that be?
Yeah, it would be second. It would be
second generation. I mean, I do have bloodlines going back for hundreds of years. By the way, we've looked into this, but that is besides the point. Are you done, or can I continue, or do you want to continue?
You said your grandparents came from Ireland, and the same thing for your Italian side. You got no skin in the game, brother. Your wife is a recent immigrant, 20 years. I'm not disrespecting your wife. You love your wife. I'm just saying that maybe that's why you keep bringing up Brazil, because your wife is from Brazil, and bringing up Europe because you're a recent second generation from Europe. But you're not American like me, bro. Both my sides come from chattel slavery and Jim Crow, bro. So how come it seems to me that since you don't have any skin in the game, you're like a $1 American, you should be concerned about Ireland and Italy and Brazil, not America. Because all vulture to feast upon what was already built on the backs of blacks. You see what I'm saying? So that just surprises me. You act like you're all American from Jim Crow and slavery. No, you're not. You're not even really American, dude. Like that's why you speak so many languages, man, because you come from all these recent places. So why are you so concerned about American when you're like not even American, dude? You've been here like 30, 40, 50 years, you peoples. Why are you concerned about our business? This is our business, black and whites who have roots in chattel slavery.
Are you gonna let me answer now?
Let him go. Go ahead.
I'm concerned about America because this is my home. This is where my children live. This is where my children's children are going to live. And first of all, my wife is of European descent. So we're talking about European ancestry that actually has roots here as well. Many family members, by the way. Number two, if you're arguing that just because my parents or my grandparents came from, actually, I think that would be probably third generation. Wouldn't it be? Yeah, third generation. My grandparents came from, my dad's dad was born on the boat coming over here from Ireland. Right. So to argue that just because of that I cannot want to advocate for shutting down immigration in this country is absurd to me, because that would be like saying, well, because I have someone who's fat in my family, that means that I can't advocate for policies in this country that would reduce obesity and reduce something that is harming the majority of the American population. That's number one. Number two, I mean, if you just look at some of the people who are most adamant against the mass immigration that has been occurring in this country, we're seeing Michelle Malkin. We're seeing many people who come from immigrant families or who are immigrants themselves. Just because you are an immigrant, or just because your parents were immigrants, or just because your grandparents were immigrants, or just because someone in your family 200 years ago was an immigrant, doesn't mean that you can't care about America, because this is our home. I see America as a family. I see this as our nation, our family, our people, and I want to protect it at all costs. I am a populist economically. And if I see something is hurting the wages of American workers, I want to stop hurting the wages of American workers. Are you saying that we should not shut down immigration? Because if I'm not mistaken, you're black, although I know that you're talking about how bad white people are, although you live in like the Northeast. You live in basically a literal white ethno-state. I know exactly well, not exactly where you live, but I know the general area in where you live.
New York,
if you're, sorry?
New York.
Yeah, you live in upstate New York, though. You live in upstate New York, and you've said that your family has been. You said that your family was even further northeast than that. You used to live further northeast than that. Anyway, that's besides the point. If for black people specifically economically, mass immigration has hurt them even more than anyone else. So you should be on the side of shutting down mass immigration if you truly do care about black prosperity, black economic prosperity, first and foremost. So I don't know. This is sort of like the shit-eating argument. Like it feels like it's just going nowhere. We still haven't gotten to the riots, and we're already like an hour in. I mean, we still haven't
I'm
gotten.
just saying, no. You say, well, these immigrants are hurting us. Well, why did your Irish grandparents and your Italian grandparents
my Irish parents and my Irish grandparents and everyone else that I've ever met who is on the side of populism, on the side of wages for American workers, are on my side, immigrant or not immigrant. I mean, like I said, you look at the ones who are the most vocal about these sorts of things, and typically a lot of them are immigrants. Why? Because a lot of the immigrants who are here are being hurt by a lot of the immigrants coming in massive waves, especially like the illegal immigrants. Like if we look and we can get into a whole economic discussion here today if we want to talk about like the construction industry and illegal immigrants in the construction industry. If we want to talk about, and we can get into a variety of different things here today. But like I said, I mean, to say that just because my parents are immigrants or Michelle Malkin is an immigrant, like people have said this about Michelle Malkin. Well, her parents are immigrants. How in the world can she be against immigrants? Well, like I said, that's like saying like if you have someone who's fat in your family and not wanting to be a proponent of policies that would increase obesity in this country. It's like the same sort of an argument.
Fat man, does that count? Does that count the same way?
Sorry, go ahead, Ralph.
What if you go on the podcast of a fat man? Does that count the same way?
Two fat men.
All right.
Yes, that was
good.
You saw me in person. Sorry, I was especially slender that evening that we met. Okay, let me read. Get your response in. I'll read these and then we'll take some calls.
Yeah, Vince. But why did your grandparents come here? Right? Why did
because it was for a better opportunity. It was for a better opportunity. And at the time that my parents came, at the time that my grandparents came here, by the way, it was well before the 1965 Hart-Celler Act. It was at a time where there was I think it was the 1929 Immigration Act, if I'm not mistaken, all the way up until 1954, the Walter McCarran Act. We only allowed 200,000 people to come here annually. Only 200,000 people to come here annually. And 2/3 of that immigration was reserved for Northern and Western European countries because they knew that those specific types of people had an easier time of assimilation. If we look at even today, over 50% of Europeans, I think it is, speak English already. Well, now we see where we're at right now, and
you had your time. Hang on. Yeah, but
no, I didn't actually. Ralph is going to go read the super chats.
Gentlemen, let's be equitable here. Go ahead, Black Sin. I'll let Vince get back in. Let's.
Yeah. The reason why your grandparents came here because shithole countries, right? And they wanted to get on this wealth that was created on the back of blacks. That's why, Vince, you should be. That's why your whole channel and your life is wrong. Because your grandparents.
So I can just go and kneel to blacks.
Let me
talk. Say thank you.
Well, let me talk. Your grandparents from Ireland and Italy came here to feast upon the wealth that was created on the back of blacks. Your wife came here to feast upon the wealth that was created on blacks, right?
Holy shit! Really? There were so many blacks in Brazil. You think that she wouldn't stay there if it was because of?
You're on the wrong side of history, bro. You came here.
Finish it up so he can respond. Go ahead, get it in. Go ahead.
Me?
Yeah. You just go ahead.
Feast upon them.
So Vince, your whole channel is wrong. You should be kissing our black asses, literally, because it was because of us. No, hang on. It was because of us. You're here. Your parents left shithole Ireland, shithole Italy to come to America because we were better. Why were we better? Because
why didn't they go to Africa? Why didn't they go to Africa?
Yeah. You're deflecting, Vince. You're deflecting. Your wife came from Brazil because Brazil is a shithole compared to America. You should be kissing our asses, Vince, because you're not really American and none of your family is. You came after the fact. After World War II, after World War I, after chattel slavery, after all that shit. We did this shit. Black people and white Americans who have roots in slavery and Jim Crow. You came to feast upon the shit that was created upon black people's backs and whites built upon it, dude. You should be kissing our black asses on your show, thankful that, hey, man, it was fucked up that white man went to go to Africa and got 800,000 kidnapped victims. But, man, on their backs, this is a beautiful America, and my grandparents were allowed to come here to feed themselves and feed their kids, which is you. And for you to have a life, and then feed your wife that came from Brazil. You should be kissing our black asses. And that's what black America looks at white people like, what the fuck is wrong with you guys? This shit was built on us, dude. I guarantee you this.
Man, you're right. We should be kneeling. We should be kneeling, and we should just be. What else should we be doing? You said kissing your black asses, right?
That's why your great grandparents came here. They left shit.
All right, watch in. All right, all right. All right, I'm on call time. Go ahead, Vince. Respond. Which I didn't play on that segment. Respond.
Yeah, I mean, this just seems like a joke to me. I mean, my grandparents came here to feast off the backs of blacks. So why didn't they go? I mean, if they wanted to be around blacks because they're so prosperous, why didn't they go to African countries? I don't understand your argument here. They came here. They came here because America. They came here because America was better off financially. They came here during a time that there was economic depression. They came here during a time of Ellis Island. No, stop. You control yourself, please. You've already had your time. Now I get to respond. I literally let you say whatever the fuck you want. So
interrupting the whole.
Let you talk. No, I've let him talk.
Right.
Just
You're a foreigner, that's your foreigner, dude. You're a foreigner. You're foreigners, dude. You don't even belong here, dude. Go back to Ireland and go back to Italy and go back to Brazil. You're a foreigner.
Hey, I mean, hey, not I've been like
in America.
Bad idea right now. Honestly,
I can't yell in the hotel. Can we not? Listen, I really can't yell.
Right.
Fucking room. So please don't make me yell. I was just realized how loud I fucking got right there. Please, one at a time. Vince, go ahead and finish up, and then we're gonna read the super chats, and then we're gonna take calls. Does that sound okay?
Yeah. So my grandparents came at a time when there was economic depression, and it was far worse off where they came from. And they came over at a time when America was doing fine. They came over during the whole Ellis Island. Like I explained, my dad's father was born on the ship coming over here, right? So the reason why they came to America, it was because it was far better off economically. There was more opportunities. They needed people to come over to build their country. Like I said in the beginning, when Irish and Italians built the majority of the infrastructure of the country that you know as America today. This is a fact. This is undebatable. We've already been over this. Don't need to rehash it again. So to say that they came here because blacks were the ones who made it so great, why wouldn't they have just gone to Africa if it was so great? To say that, came from Brazil because it was so great, because blacks are so great in America, why wouldn't they have just went to like the Nordeste where there's like a shit ton of northern Brazil where there's like a shit ton of black, instead of staying in like the southern part of Brazil where it's basically mainly like German and European and Portuguese? Why would that not happen? To ask that, or to propose that they came here because blacks made it so great and to feast off of the backs of blacks, if I can quote you, is not even worth my time even addressing, honestly. And if I don't know if you want to start reading the super chats or what.
I would like to do that. Yeah. Let me read those. And again, if you're joining us late, I realize I sound much different because I'm on the shit tier microphone, but it couldn't be helped. So if you joined us late, I apologize for that. Space Cowboy 14 with the Ninjagini says blacks picked cotton and tobacco. Blacks didn't do shit. Shut your mouth. Okay, let me scroll up and make sure I get all these. Hold on.
If I do post this to YouTube, I'm definitely going to have to cut out like the super chats.
Yeah, for sure. Well, you for sure will have to cut those out. Yes. Let's see. Count Rhythm says the banjo was a joke instrument until Earl Scruggs. Thunderrumple says 10 out of 10 guests. X Carcoon says Skin Rothschilds. I guess he's asking you, did you know the Rothschilds owned slave ships that were coming to America, Blackskin? He was asking you that question.
Yes.
Okay. I talked to him before the show. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he knows that. I won't get into it right now, but I have a hernia says shadow slavery. It's regular slavery, just spookier. Lane Sachs says black people did not invent the 145. Solid Snake says we was wallets and shit. Chauvinist says can't use black people to make soap though. A-Hole Anderson says so that's what Memphis barbecue is. Okay. Not fuck you, brother. Not Nuke Telly says we was bacon and shit. Shapiro Shuckleberg says slavery ended 170 years ago. Lane Sachs says rock music was invented by Bob Haley. Chauvinist says how many blacks alive today are former slaves? 0. Buzz Lightwork. I mean, I'll answer that because it's true. Buzz Lightwork says white cannibal slave owners be like hee haw yum yum. All right. Space Cowboy 14 says I would rather have a shovel than a field of slaves any day of the week. Saving money that way. He actually has a U.S. flag emoji, but it doesn't show up. It doesn't show up correctly there. Lane Sachs says ragtime originates from classical music, not blacks. We should have Destiny on or Stryker to debate you on music one day, Blackskin. I'm gonna see. Destiny, I probably agree with you, so maybe we could get Stryker on to debate you on the history of music. I think that would actually be lovely. We'll see if we can make that happen. Cooper said, haven't heard of Blackskin wallets before. I missed that one too. Cooper says the Killstream is brought to you. This Killstream is brought to you by Ridge Wallet. Some people in chat love that idea, by the way, and some people hate it. The music debates. Ava Bowen says, Blackskin, he's quoting you. Why is BLM promoting anarchy and communism? What would you say to that?
Say that again.
Why is Black Lives Matter promoting anarchy and communism?
Oh, they're promoting police violence against blacks. That's their thing. So anything beyond that is just bullshit. Black Lives Matter, if you go on their site, specifically it's about police brutality. That's it, and that's it alone. All right. So
okay. Space Cowboy 14 says the question in my Ninja Guinea was an American flag. Yeah, I saw it. It showed up a little bit on mine, but not the actual emoji. Just a little small Unicode US or whatever. I have a hernia says stop fighting each other and fight for Chinese war brides. Just the white guy. Just the white guy says telling the truth is against YouTube toss if you're white. Mountain Walk says punish Ralph. A man denied his dolphin girlfriend. Actually, my girlfriend's going to be here momentarily. TC457823 with the Ninja Guinea. Very kind of you, sir. Lane Sachs just subscribed monthly. Mick says, please let me call in. We're going to take call in. Skater, do we have some people in the call in?
Let me take a gander.
By the way, I'm going to.
Yes.
We do.
Oh, my God.
I'm going to say this. Callers, keep it under control.
Wait, how come I can't see that? I don't see anyone. Or is it just something I can't see? I don't know.
It's in the green room. The channel.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, you should be able to see it. Let's see. Mountain Walk says, you got no skin in the game. Damn, Talib got a point. I have a hernia says, best thing my granddaddy did was get on that boat. Kyler Subcultured says, ball skin is amazing. JNA02 with the Ninja Guinea says, in the preamble, ourselves and our posterity. It's not about blacks. Thelonia says, this is diversity in action. Space Cowboy 14 says, black. Already read that one. Cheeseburger 6 says, repeating things louder makes them more true. I found that to be accurate, actually. Fashout says, props to Black Skin is amazing for being mad swole. Was that an actual picture of you, Black? You're lying. That's not
absolutely, baby. I'm black, dude. Even James will admit we blacks are genetically superior to whites. So.
All right. Well,
there's no way. We got actually testosterone, baby.
There's no way to prove that. If you look at the old episodes, he's bragging about crushing white pussy. We'll have to go back and watch
that. Is that extra testosterone? Even James admits that. Vincent goes, yeah, blacks have more testosterone. There you go.
All right,
hey, James.
What? Sorry, I was watching a YouTube video. I was sorry. What did you say? I heard someone say James.
Yeah. You admit that blacks have more testosterone on average than whites, right?
Yeah, they do. That's true.
Okay, there you go. All right, super chat. That's answered. There you go.
All right, Black Phillips says, does Black Skin know 90% of slaves went to Brazil?
Yeah. A lot of slaves went to Brazil. That's what I was making. That was my argument before. Most of the slaves actually went to South and Central America.
And see, that's the funny thing about it, Vince and the super chat guy. It's what you guys don't realize because you don't know American history is that those slaves died, like they didn't get a chance to reproduce, right? So they were just sending them dying, right? But in America in 1860, this is a fact. In 1860, this is very few white people realize this, but in 1860, the 4 million black slaves in the South was the largest slave society in human history.
So you're saying whites kept them alive?
No, hang on. Bigger than the Roman slave empire, the Greek slave empire, any African empire. In 1860, America had the biggest slave population in history. In history.
So what are you talking about America? Are you talking about? You're not talking about North America, because that's not true.
I'm talking about the world history in 1860. 4 million black slaves in the South was the world's largest slave society in history. There's never been a larger slave society.
No, that's not true. That's not true. No, that is not true. That is not true. I'm looking at the map of the transatlantic slave trade, and I can see right now that millions more blacks, Africans, went to South and Central America than North America. It was actually a very small portion of. And if we actually look at it was a very small portion of the slaves that actually went to North America.
Okay, Vince, this is where you're wrong. I'm going to show you where you're wrong.
No, I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong.
Just be quiet. You're not even American, so be quiet. Hey.
Now wait a minute. Hold on.
No, hey, I got to answer his question.
It's fine. He can say what he wants.
No. Hey, hang on. Let me answer your question. You're wrong. When you look at that map and you see the 4 million, 5 million went to Brazil, right? That's over centuries, dude. It wasn't like there was 4 million.
No, that's not true.
No, hang on. You're looking at that map as if they shipped over 4 million, 5 million black slaves at one time. Bam. No, that was over centuries. There was never a population of 4 or 5 million black slaves in Brazil. Ever. See, this is where you're wrong. This is why you don't know American history, dude. You don't know because you're not American, dude. In 1860.
Yeah, why are you screaming right now?
Because I'm very passionate. Okay, in 1860, 4 million black slaves in the South was the world's largest slave population. So, Vince, once again, what you're doing is looking at that map and saying, well, 5 million went to Brazil. Yeah, but that was over centuries. There was never 5 million black slaves.
I'm gonna have to cut it. Hey, I gotta cut it.
But you're wrong, Vince. You're not American.
I'm just barely halfway through these. Go ahead, Vince, real quick. Can you just sentence or two?
No, you can get to the super chats, but okay. I want to say this. I'm just reading this right now. The transatlantic slave trade uprooted millions. Number of enslaved Africans arriving on the American continent and in Europe, and it gives a date of 1501 to 1866, and it shows how many arrived in each area from 1501 to 1866, and it breaks it down. 4.7. You're not letting me finish. Please let me finish. Please let me finish. Please let me finish. Please let me finish. South and Central America from 1501 to South and Central America, the majority of the slaves arrived in South and Central America from 1700 to 1718. So we're talking about 2 decades. Is that what you're talking about here? So we're looking at the biggest portion. We're looking at 389,000 in the United States of America. So we're looking at 389,000 in North America versus 779,000 in Cuba, 926,000 in Hispaniola, Jamaica 1 million, Caribbean 2 million, Brazil 4.7 million, Argentina and Uruguay 67,000, Europe 9,000. Europe 9,000. No, it says the majority. As far as South America is concerned, it says the majority arrived there within 20 years. Within 20 years, it breaks it all down here for you. I can post this in the show link.
It's impossible to ship 4 million blacks in 2 decades to Brazil back in those times, dude. It was over centuries, Vince. You're not reading it right. You don't understand what you're reading, brother. Centuries. It's not a decade or 2, brother. Go ahead, man.
No. Let me break this down for you right now. I'll break this down for you right now. It says the majority of the slaves that were sent to Brazil arrived from 1700 to 1718. That's what it's saying. Right? That as far as the link that I have here, I could post this in the show link here if you want.
Hey, Vince. Portugal was importing black slaves to Brazil over a 300-year period, dude, from the 1400s.
They were. No, that's true. From the 1500s to the 1800s, that is true. But it's not just Brazil. It's not just to Brazil. We're talking about the Guianas, and we're also talking about Argentina and Uruguay too.
Yeah,
we're also talking about Cuba. We're also talking about the Caribbean. We're also talking about Jamaica. We're also talking about parts of Europe as well. But you have to remember your original argument. Your original argument was that the amount of slaves. No, I understand the transatlantic slave trade lasted for centuries. I understand that. And I've already stated in the past that the Arab slave trade lasted for even longer than that. We're talking about like double the amount of time.
You're deflecting again.
Okay, can you excuse me? Can you let me speak, please? I already let you go. Can you let me speak?
Go ahead.
Your argument is that because America had so many slaves, a total of 389,000 throughout that time period, which is also over centuries from 1500 to 1800. Let me bring the chart back up. From 1500 to 1800, also over centuries, and it doesn't actually break down North America here for us as far as like the timeline is concerned, but you're saying a total of 389,000 slaves going to North America made the country the great country that it is today, and actually like the 7 million that went to South and Central America, those didn't make those countries great because the slaves died off. Following your logic. I've been having trouble following your logic since.
Mexican, but you guys are gonna listen. Go ahead.
Okay, what you're getting wrong, Vince, is this. All I'm saying is that they did not ship 4 to 5 million black slaves to Brazil in 2 decades. That was over 300 years. That's what I'm saying. You got to completely wrong.
We're good. We're good.
Yeah, I'm done.
We're good. Let me read these. Arcade Outpost says, this is why we need to separate. He can't comprehend. A-hole Anderson says, we robbing, rapping, and murdering. Why they not thanking us? I have a hernia that says 4 out of 10 trolling. I put it on a little too thick at the end. I don't think he's trolling, and I wouldn't bring him on if I thought he was a troll, to be quite honest with you. Now, he has a way about him where he's laughing and, throwing out, jokes and shit. But no, I don't believe he's trolling at all. Arcade Outpost just resubbed for 3 months and is now on a 6-month streak. Black Phillip says, what about Liberian freemen with a U.S. Constitution? Nurak says, Oompa Loompa Ralph. Torncosmos, I don't even know what the fuck. He says, as a Native American, why do you fucked up bringing them? Colin was on. I'm not now. It'd be hard to sleep through this. Yeah, you might have to turn this off if you wanted to go to sleep. I have a hernia. Says Vince on the ropes, corner ready to throw in the towel. Sir Volta Tropo says, I can't tell the difference with Ralph and Blackskin. Well, we're both on a similar type of microphone here. I am from Memphis, I guess. Maybe that's a little bit of the problem. Hucklebuck says, we was suitcases in shit. Night Smoke says, he blat. He blat. I think he was quoting Jesse Lee there. M. Axe Murderer says, they use blacks as tractors, not to build. Future Relic with a subscription monthly. Thank you very kindly. Black Trick Roiper says, slavery was inefficient. Nothing was built off you. Thelonious says, black. No, we're not going to that, but he's asking about the foundation of the NAACP. We can't take another detour unless it's really good. Chauvinist says, does black skin understand blacks are being used by Antifa? We can get into that later. Callers are going to call in. Future Relic says, more slaves today than in any time in history. Finis Dembro, 1 month subscription. Gifted a 1 month subscription. Eddie Broad 12 says, Ryan Dawson and black skin would be amazing. Finis Dembro, subscribe monthly and gifted 5 more subscriptions to others in the chat. Neon Nick says, how many black slaves did blacks themselves have? Mountain Walk says, bro, I'm dying. Finis Dembro gifted 5 more subscriptions. Funger Rumple says, great training. LOL, Vince has a lot to learn. Ha ha ha. Rufus T says, Blackskin is a great guess. When he turned back up, yes. Shin Chan Elements, get this Yakub motherfucker out of here. Content consumer says, so which architectural achievement has this shitbag participated in? Smegmasaurus says, when a black life robs and beats a pregnant white woman, it ceases to matter. I would say that goes for any life, to be honest with you. But yeah, I could agree with that. Content consumer says, this guy's way too hostile, excuse me. Nobody owes damn thing is what he said, actually. Dub name 1225 says, Vince, you don't owe this guy explanation. Reflected. Let me refresh there, and I'll catch up on Entropy. Studio ICANN says, poo-poo, poo-poo. Dyslexia I have says, polling shows the more wealthy, educated, and well-off African Americans become, the more they perceive themselves as oppressed. The more you give in to these people, the more you'll become the villain. I actually read some stuff about that. Yeah. Alex Ware says, it's like saying the calculator is the true inventor of the iPhone because Steve Jobs had one. Studio ICANN says, black skin, don't forget about how the white slave owners cruelly used a certain chemical that I won't repeat to delouse. RIP to the many who couldn't break through the sturdy doors. Timber Sycamore says, thoughts on the Jews defunding Black Lives Matter when BLM endorsed BDS and called out the ADL being pro-law enforcement. Yeah, that did. That was a few years ago. We actually talked about that. They were kind of going at it with the Jews for a minute. That kind of died down, though, if you'll notice. Keith Kevin Cotton says, question for black skin. Oh, man. You guys, please call in. I know you all want to ask him a question, but it's going to take a year to get through. He says, if blacks were here in America without whites, this is a good one, though. If they were here without whites, would they still have built a superpower, black skin? Black skin has passed away.
No, what was that?
If you were here without whites, if it was just blacks here in America, what would the country look like? Would it still be a superpower?
No, because if there was no whites, it would have never been a transatlantic slave trade. It would be in Africa someplace, hanging out with lions and zebras and elephants. So, we would have been living off grid like you whites like to do. So,
zebras are pretty cool. I've always really liked zebras for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree, brother. I agree. We should go to Africa together and chill.
They're like a horse, except they're striped. Like, what the fuck? Who would not like that? Are extremely cool. That's all I want to say. Yeah. And the only problem is they're in Africa, so that's. But other than that,
so we can go there and take a flight, chill, right? Have a beer.
Yeah, and then come back. We won't move there. No. Okay. Let's see. Swamp Ghost says this fucker won't address the Arab slave trade question because he's scared the Arabs will beat his ass. What do you think about that? Are you scared?
Oh, that's deflection. The Arab slave trade is in Africa. Dude, we blacks. Africa, that's it. I'm American, bro. We're the truest Americans. We've been here for 400 or 500 years. So
you're making me think of a Red Fox joke, but I will not repeat it here on the air. Swamp Ghost says, by the way, I'm hearing some feedback all of a sudden. I don't know who's that from. That's you, black skin. So I don't know if you got the sound turned up or something. Swamp Ghost says, Ralph, this person is just a troll. Kick him. Swamp Ghost, he's not a troll. I don't believe that at all. No. Swamp Ghost says, Ralph, moderate for fuck's sake. I did finally. Swamp Ghost says he thinks black skin is amazing, but I see that black brains leave a lot to be desired, and he screams because that's what mentally retarded people do. Maxie Stoneman says, you've heard of the optics war, but Vince is winning the audio war. There's no doubt about that. Vince sounds so smooth. There's no doubt he's winning the audio war. Dyslexia,
Vince and I are coming in just fine, but Ralph is just like,
Hello.
I'm so mad about the audio too, because well, whatever. You have to do the show regardless. Dyslexia I have says black skin is amazing. Excuse me, cuts off his picture right there so you can't see the Nikes and TVs in his hand. Okay. That was pretty good. Oh shit, that got loud. Sorry.
Ow, that hurt.
That hurt. I don't know what that was. I'm sorry, chat. That wasn't me. I hope you're safe, black skin. That sounded bad. Neon,
I'm good.
Neon says it's only bad if Whitey does it. Okay, now I'm done. And that sounded like, did you step on your cat? What happened there?
Oh, is my voice fine now?
Yeah, you're fine now.
I'll try to cut that out for the podcast.
Please, God, cut that out. You'll be able to see it easily with the spike, I'm pretty sure. Okay, let's take some calls. Again, callers, please, please keep it under control. Probably saying that in vain, Vince, but let's try it anyway. King Oscar, you're on the Killstream. Go, sir.
Oh, good evening, gentlemen. Sorry it took me a second to connect. I have a question for Black Skin is Amazing. Are you familiar with the crab bucket philosophy in the African American community?
Yeah, I've heard it before. I'm not familiar with it, but I've heard it before.
I don't want to derogate your ride. This is a legitimate question. So what is your personal opinion on that in the current Black community? I don't want to bring up slavery or the past. I just about
about the crabs in a bucket, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, that scenario doesn't really work because it's unnatural for crabs to be in the bucket in the first place.
Okay.
So that's why the crabs are doing that, because it's unnatural. So when you take crabs out the bucket,
no, that's not what I was talking about.
No,
you know that.
But wait, let him finish.
That's what it is, right? It's unnatural. Okay, let me ask you a question. Is it unnatural to pack crabs in a bucket? Just
I mean, not if you're
question.
catching them.
No. Is it no? Is that their natural habitat? Crabs in a bucket.
Oh, I see where you're going with this. No, it's not.
Okay, there you go. Then it all falls apart. So
okay,
actually, what he's saying, I mocked it at first, but what he's saying, I mean, he's saying that this is not their natural habitat. Yeah, go ahead.
No, that's a good answer. I actually really
that's
like
not a bad answer. Yeah, I gotta say.
Hey, thank you, brother. Thank you, brother.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah. Another one. I have one more question and then one quick statement. If we gave African Americans an ethno state and reparations, would that be enough coddling to get you guys to be quiet, or would we have to give more?
You couldn't repay us, right? Because we've talked about that in the African American community, and some scholars have come around with a number that if you just take just what the Black slaves would have earned and just compounded it with a little interest over since slavery to today, it would be between $50 trillion to $100 trillion. That's just owed in wages. Now, not talking about punitive damages. So if we're going to talk about true reparations, which America could never do, you owe us America. You would have to hand us America. Literally, like, here's the keys. And you can't do that. So,
Okay, that's an acceptable answer. And then I just have one more statement. Zebras aren't actually horses; they're donkeys. And good answers from Black Skin. I'd say 3/5 of it was really good. Sunset.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, brother.
By the way, I said they're like horses. They're like horses. I didn't say that. But anyway,
they're mules, dude. They're mules. They're mules, brother.
Why are you chuckling? Anyway, let's take another caller. Lude saying you're on the Killstream. Go ahead, sir.
Is it me?
Lude? Yes, you're here. Go ahead.
Guys, can't we just get along? I mean, racism has ended for 3 days ago, right? Blackout Tuesday.
By the way, you're really low. I don't know if that's just for me.
He is really low. I've turned him up to like 200% on my end.
Okay, so it should sound better on the stream. Yeah, racism's over, Black Skin. What about that?
Okay. Next question.
By the way, I'm kidding.
Well, this is kind of off topic, but I mean, since racism ended, can't we also end homoism by doing Flag Out Friday?
I don't know. I couldn't hear what you said. I'm sure you didn't actually say what I think you said. But thank you for calling in. All right, let's keep going. I'm sure that's not what he actually said. Pepto-Bismol, you're on the Killstream. Go ahead. Pepto-Bismol.
I noticed he said something kind of interesting. He said he was the truest American, and then like 5 seconds ago, he said that you owe us America. I can kind of think of maybe one other group that they might owe America to more, that might be a little bit more true America than some people who were brought over here. You want to address that?
No, dude, I have no idea what you're talking about, bro. Just say it. Just be plain.
The Native Americans, maybe Native people, maybe those people. You said
no, hang on. That's their issue. I'm talking about Black people.
Wait, no. You said
make that argument. I'm here for Black people.
You specifically said you are the truest American and that white people owe you America. I'm saying, don't you think that's a little arrogant when you were brought over here? You didn't even come over on your free will to settle down. You were come here by force.
Why?
But
Okay, answer the question. No. Answer the question. Why? Why were we brought here?
to settle land and build shit.
Foundation. So you owe us. We're the foundation.
No. Whose land was taken?
Who took the land? The white man. Hang on. The white man.
And who built it? But if you built it, and you're saying you own America, doesn't that mean you owe it back to Americans?
Native Americans' land. You're white people.
Oh, okay, you said Native Americans.
I issue is Black America. So if you want to debate a Native American about what you whites think,
I am a Native American.
Okay, then you need to talk to the Vince about that shit. No.
You're the one saying you're the truest American. You're the one saying you're the truest American and that you're owed America?
Yes, because
fuck you, dude.
No, hang on. You said you're Native American, right?
Yeah.
Was America built? There was a shit here but wilderness. You know
yes,
that.
There was.
There was nothing here but wilderness.
You just
There was rising on the East Coast, you dumbass.
Oh, really?
There was nothing here. This shit was built on black slaves, not Indians. And worse yet, you Indians own us black slaves. You own us too. So you owe those reparations
what?
too.
No, we enslaved
You're
ourselves.
Not innocent. You're not innocent. You owe us.
I'm not. And
whoa, Wasabi.
Okay, let's go back a second. You said there was nothing here before that. Is that how uneducated you are on history? You think that
there was nothing here. There was no.
There was nothing.
Here.
There were literally pyramids here, dude.
There was nothing, dude. Just wilderness and bison. We built this shit from Africans.
Okay, hold on. What
constitutes
America?
Stop screaming. Yo, stop screaming.
The 5 civilized tribes own black slaves. You owe us too, motherfuckers.
What?
Wait, you're saying the Indians were owning slaves?
Wait, hold on. You just said that, right? You just said that Indians were owning slaves. So does that mean that the black man was building stuff then too? So there was So then doesn't that mean that there was something? Doesn't that mean that there was something here before the white man got here? Then
it wasn't nothing here. You own us after the white man built off on top of us black slaves.
Oh. Okay. Yeah.
You know what?
So
Caller,
by the way, there wasn't many building stuff here. I just want to say that. I want to throw that out there. There wasn't many slaves that were actually like building something that.
There's archaeological history to prove that.
There was no building. Was Boston? Okay, hang on. Was Boston here? Was New York City here?
That doesn't matter. There was
no. Answer the question.
That's not how.
No. You said America was here. I asked you a question. Was New York City?
No, I didn't say that.
How dare you immediately start picking up the white man's argument?
You said that there was nothing in America before that. There was just a forest and tribes,
cities. Okay, what cities were here? What name of city that was here?
I don't know the name of the city. There are literally how much archaeological remains of their city.
Dude, I asked you, name a city.
I don't know the name, dude. That doesn't mean they don't exist.
Shut up, then. Why are you even talking?
All right, Black Skin. Pepco, thank you for calling in, man. I appreciate it, sir.
I remember this guy. This guy spurgs the fuck out all the time. By the way, the slaves didn't really build anything here, as far as like infrastructure is concerned, or buildings, like major amounts of buildings. There are a few buildings that they built that actually last, but that didn't consist the majority of the jobs that the slaves did. This is what I was talking about when we spoke about the infrastructure of America and the America that we know today, right? The skyscrapers, the bridges, the canals, the railroads, things like this. Furthermore, if we do want to talk about slavery and the population of slaves, it wasn't until 1860 that it reached over 2/3 of the slave population in the world. If we go to what we were talking about before, 1.7 million slaves were imported to South America from 1700 to 1720, and the rise of coffee in the 1830s further enticed expansion of the slave trade. I think that was the largest, or sugar was the largest in the sugar economy in Brazil was their largest export, and the sugar economy in the Brazil was the largest in the world. As far as slavery is concerned, as far as infrastructure is concerned, and you're saying that, slaves built America, blacks built America, that's just not true. And this is something we've been arguing since the beginning.
Hey, Vince, who built the White House? The majority builders of the White House. Right?
Yeah, I made that exception. I made that exception. I made that exception when I was explaining. I made the exception when I was explaining. When I was saying there. Okay, fine. One building, great, fucking awesome. Like that's the majority of America. That's why we're so great. Holy shit. Holy shit. We forced these people to build a fucking a building. Great. Like that made America great. That's just ridiculous.
Yes, who built Wall Street in New York City? Who built Wall Street? Who were the original builders of Wall Street in New York City? Who?
I'm sure you're going to say like the blacks started the stock market. The blacks started the stock market. Holy shit!
Hey, Vince. Who built all the railroads in the South? That was 30% of all the railroads in America. Who built all the railroads in the South?
I don't know. You've been wrong about a lot of shit here, so I probably have to look up the percentage of the railroads built by the Chinese versus the percentage of the railroads built by slaves.
Yeah, let's just stop there. I hear railroad.
I mean, you've been wrong about it. You've been wrong about a lot of different things here. So probably have to research that.
Sorry. All right. Let's put a pin in it. Let's put a pin in it so we can. I'm going to try to speed run through some of these callers, so we don't keep you guys here all night. Maybe 20 more minutes or so with the callers, 15, 20. Let's try to get through them though if we can. Again, I hate to cut callers short. I gave some of the earlier ones more time. That's not going to be the case now, though. I apologize. Go ahead, Wolfgang. Lightning round. Go.
Okay. Since I cannot talk about what I wanted to talk about,
wait. What did you want to talk about? What did you want to talk about then?
I wanted to ask Blackskin is amazing about his stance on African mass immigration to Europe. In regards to how much we owe them due to colonization, and if Africans actually own Belgium because King Leopold wanted his rubber so badly.
All right. Now, what do you say, Blackskin? Quickly, though. We can't do a whole...
This is easy because I've said it from the beginning, and I'll say it again. I live my life like this. My family does too. What Africa and Europe do together, for the better or worse, that's their issue. We're American. We're the truest American. We're the foundation of America. So whatever Belgium and Africans do back and forth, or Italy and Africans, I don't give a shit. That's their issue. My issue is America. That's their issue. So thanks for the question, but my answer is to you is that's between you guys. That's between Belgium, the Africans, and Italy and Africans, and Germany and Africa. That's you guys. I don't care. That's their concern. My concern is America and Black Lives Matter here. That's it.
Oh, and by the way, when you just look at the what we believe section at the website from Black Lives Matter, you can see lots of progressive communist bullshit. So they are definitely Jewed out, I gotta say.
Yeah, Black Lives Matter is a well-funded chaos agent organization, that's for sure. But on top, I really want to comment on reparations here. I do want to talk about reparations because you said that whites owe you trillions of dollars, right?
50 to 100 trillion.
5,200 trillion. Holy shit. I want to say this. We probably, honestly, I mean, if we just look at the breakdown here and we look at how much Black Americans have been using versus how much they've been actually paying into the system, which has been in the red for a very long time, I have to say. If we look at native households for Blacks, 55% have been on welfare for many decades. And as far as what you pay into the system, above what you use, it's been in the red for many decades as well. So honestly, if we want to talk reparations, whites have been paying reparations not only to Blacks, but also to the Hispanic demographic, according to the Census Bureau, for a very, very, very long time. And I'm sure that we're going to continue to pay reparations to Blacks for a very long time until the Black Americans in this country start holding themselves accountable for their out-of-wedlock rate, which has been rising, for their crime rate, which has been rising, for everything else that is wrong within your community in order to fix yourself and stop.
You're stuck on stupid. You are. Because reparations is for a crime. It's not
You were literally just arguing that whites without Blacks would be eating their own feces, and you're saying that I am stuck on stupid?
You know it. You claim to have a high IQ, right?
All right, I'm gonna mute here, and I'm gonna let you talk.
Because you've been exposed, dude. You're an idiot. reparations is for a crime. It's not welfare. That's how stupid you are, Vince. You claim high IQ. What the fuck, dude? Don't you understand what reparations is?
All right.
Do you understand?
All right. He's well. Yeah.
Well,
we'll
I mean,
take-
if we,
Go ahead,
what do you think? Like, okay, let's just imagine this, right? Let's say, okay, tomorrow. Well, I mean, right now, I mean, if we look to L.A., in L.A., I think it was the LA mayor who has decided to remove $150 million in funding to the police and just like give it to black people. And then we added welfare on top of that. If we think about reparations, it has to come in the form of some sort of a payment, right? It has to come in the form of some sort of a cash payment or a benefits payment or something like this. Welfare. When we talk about welfare, we're not just talking about food benefits. We're talking about cash benefits. We're talking about cash benefits and cash benefits.
Answer the question. Do white people
can you control yourself?
No.
Can you please control yourself? Look, listen.
Answer the question.
You are showing a major lack of self-control here. You understand that, right?
Okay, Vince, do white people get welfare? Just answer that question. And do they get the most welfare? Because you keep making a whole black
only 20% of native households for whites actually receive welfare. But as far as if you compare it, no, it's not the majority. But if you compare, let me finish. You asked me a question. Let me finish. Please control yourself. If you compare it to what we pay in, it is only the white and the Asian demographics who are creating a net benefit in the economy versus what we use. You understand what I'm saying here, right?
Okay. You said, let me
55% of black households.
Hang on. You're saying welfare to blacks is reparations, right? Just answer that. Yes or no?
I'm saying that.
Oh, yes or no?
We are paying you money.
Vince, answer the question.
Wait, Blackskin, stop. Let him speak. Go ahead.
Is welfare
Blackskin? Wait, just wait. Go ahead, Vince.
Okay. So if we think about what reparations would mean that you would have to pay someone in some form or fashion. I don't give a shit if it's Bitcoin or Ethereum or XRP or Ox. I don't care in what form of payment, or if we're going to give you some Hertz stock that just crashed, some form of payment, right? It's cash, right? So we're talking about cash welfare. We're talking about food benefits. We're talking about whatever it is. It doesn't matter. Either way, you have been taking more as not all, but as far as the demographic is concerned, 55% of native households have been taking more than they have been paying into the system for several decades on end. And this also strongly correlates to the fatherlessness in your community, which only you guys can fix. We can't fix that. That's been getting worse since all of the times of the all of the eras that you said were the worst off for blacks in this country. That has been getting very majorly worse. Okay, so why don't you address that instead of blaming other people, or like I said, telling other people to clean up their room when your room is a hell of a lot messier? It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Vince, is welfare reparations to you? Simple question. Stop deflecting, brother.
Yeah, I would say that, for the money that we have been paying, the money that you have been taking. Wait a minute. Are you gonna let me answer the question?
Yeah, so white people get reparations too. How fucking dumb is that, Vince? You have no logic, brother. You talk about high IQ. White people get reparations for enslaved black people. Dude, next question. This is
how many let me ask you this. How many whites are killed by blacks on a yearly basis? Do we get reparations for that? How many whites are robbed by blacks on a yearly basis? Do we get reparations for that? How many whites are attacked by blacks on a yearly basis? Do we get reparations for that? I mean, if we're talking about interracial crime, if we're talking about beatings, if we're talking about torture, if we're talking about rape, if we're talking about all of the things that you said that you experienced, then when do we get reparations? How much of a discount do we get on the reparations that we're supposed to pay you for all the crime that has been rampaging throughout all of these cities in our country? And then add that on top of the welfare that we've already paid.
Okay, Vince. When did we answer the question? Yes or no? Have we Black Americans Jim Crowed white people for 100 years and then shadow slave white people for 250 years in America? Did we do that? Yes or no? That's a yes or no question.
What do you mean? Did we do that?
No. Did we blacks Jim Crow white people, white Americans for 100 years, and then did we Black Americans shadow and slave whites for 250 years?
Not in America. But in other places.
In America, yes or no?
No, not in America. No, you did not.
Okay, there you go then. Your argument falls. Slavery and Jim Crow. Next question, please.
Okay, so let me no, here's the next question. Here's the next question. Okay, you're finished, right? Are you finished?
Oh God.
Or are you gonna just continue to scream? Are you finished speaking? If you want to continue, you can continue. But I'm going to say something.
I'm done because
Okay. Are you done now? Okay. Can I ask you a question?
No, Vince, no.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, here's my question to you. So basically what you're arguing, if we can just sum this up, that because of 400 years of slavery, this justifies committing over half of all the homicides in the country, the highest rate of basically every single crime that you can imagine aside from white-collar crime. This justifies that, and this is the reason why you should not be held accountable for that. Because of slavery, it justifies you having the highest out-of-wedlock rate, and all of the cultural icons that you have are like gangbanger drug dealers that your children have to look up to. Slavery justifies all of that. You don't think that you don't think that the black community should stop and look within itself at any point in time, that everything could just be explained away by slavery, even though these things have been getting worse since slavery? Go ahead.
Let me answer. You said a lot, but I'm going to focus on one, right? You're talking about fatherless homes, right? Right? That's a big issue, right? Fatherless homes, right?
Yes, out of wedlock, or the out of wedlock rate. We're talking about unmarried parents and fatherless homes.
Okay, yeah. Okay. So, for 250 years, right? Who were the ones who forced black women to be single moms?
See, you're going back to the victim. You're going back to the victim mentality.
No. You asked me a question. I'm asking you a question, right? For 250 years, who literally forced black women to be single moms, right? Who did that for 250 years? Because you're talking about a few decades. I'm talking about.
Wait, what are you talking about? Force? What are you talking about? Force? No. You don't understand this. Okay, so let me answer the question.
Let me answer the question. Go ahead, answer. For 250 years, who forced black women to be single moms? For 250 years. Who?
Okay, can I answer your question? Can I speak now?
Yeah, just answer that question.
What I'm referring to now, you're talking about pivoting, right? What I'm referring to.
I'm asking you a question.
No. I'm trying to answer your question. Can you let me formulate my thoughts here? Can you let me articulate my thoughts on the answer to your question, please? Control yourself. Jesus Christ. Sorry for using the Lord's name in vain there. What I'm referring to is the out-of-wedlock rate since the 1960s. This is what I have been referring to the entire night. It went from 20% to 75%. As a matter of fact, I think the last I checked, it's 79%. How in the world can you blame that on white people when it's happened over the course of just a few decades? We're not talking about 200 years ago. We're talking about 40 years ago. As a matter of fact, we're talking about 30 years ago. We can go back to the 80s. We can go back to the early 80s and the late 70s and see that the black family was stronger. And as far as like inflation, adjusted for inflation, if we look at wages, we can find in a lot of different areas it was higher back then than it is today. Out of wedlock rate was far better off. The crime rate was lower in the 1960s for the black community and the 1950s, especially for the black community than it is today. How in the world can you blame that on white people? Like I said, you are refusing to hold yourself accountable because it's easier to blame someone else for your own actions. And this has been the biggest problem, one of the biggest problems in the black community for the longest time, driven mainly by a lot of institutions and the media.
But Vince, you never answered the question. For 250 years, who forced black women to be single moms?
I know. For 250 years, the whites came in to like strip the skin off of black children and made wallets out of them, and then made lampshades out of them, and then shipped them to Brazil or something. I get how bad it was. I understand how much you suffered, how much your family suffered, and your parents suffered in upstate New York in a high-income community. Where you live mostly around whites. I understand how much of a victim you are. I get it. Trust me.
Answer the question. Who for 250? Because you only talking about 40 years. I'm talking about a bigger time period, 250 years. Who forced black women to be single moms by the hundreds of thousands? Who? Millions. Who?
The white devil.
All right, let's keep going. We're gonna have to put a pin. We're gonna have to put a pin in this. All right, Blackskin. Yeah, there's no way we're gonna be able to get through all these calls. I'm gonna take like 3 or 4 more callers and read the sim chats, and we're probably gonna be done right after that.
Okay,
So,
all right. Wait, that last word was that was bad. I could that last one.
Which one?
The white devil one. That was.
Oh
that
no,
was
that's
bad.
fine. No, that's fine. You can
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm sure you could say that. You could probably even say that on YouTube if you want.
I don't think YouTube or D Live is going to complain too much.
Yeah, you say that on Twitter, it'll get 200,000 retweets.
Maybe they'll reinstate my
I didn't say white devil. Somebody else said white devil. I didn't say.
All right.
No, we're not saying you said that.
I'm gonna be the white devil. Move the show along.
All right, it's been like 2 hours anyway. I mean, we didn't even get into like the Black Lives Matter thing, but I really have like editing to do and like writing to do. So
all right, let's take like 3 callers.
No, he can go and I'll say and answer the question. He can go.
All right, just wait. Blackskin, chill. Hold on.
Please let him run his show.
Yes, please. Just hold on. Just let's do this. Will Heron from El Paso, go.
Yo, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Ralph, what's going on, man?
Just doing the show. People seem to enjoy it. It's a little bit more stressful when you're the host, but yeah, go ahead.
You're doing a good job, man. I just got here. Type X in the chat if you're being held hostage in a fishbowl. You sound terrible.
I'm okay. Go.
Cool. Black Skin is amazing. Do you know who the white coats for Black Lives are?
What?
White coats for Black Lives.
White coats for Black Lives?
Yes.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's a story you did today. Apparently, there's a group that's been around since 2014 that sparked after the killing of Michael Brown and Eric Gardner. It was medical students throughout the country that got together in order to protest police brutality. Apparently, now they're still the same group. They turned into the white coats for Black Lives because people with white coats are doctors, physicians, medical assistants.
Oh, okay.
Today,
that sounds nice.
Okay, so I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, it sounds nice.
Cool. So today they had it was a peaceful, silent protest around America. Basically, doctors, physicians, nurses, medical professionals came outside of their hospitals and they kneeled for 8 minutes and 42 seconds in honor of Mr. Floyd passing away in Minneapolis. What do you think about that?
That's beautiful.
Yep.
That's great. That's great. What else do you have, though?
I do want to go with the hardy on you, Black Skin. I had a question about you were talking about America owes African American people. I was just wondering about how many African Americans fought back Native Americans when the America was colonized.
How many Black fought Native Americans?
Right, because you're insinuating that Americans now owe African Americans America due for everything that they did for the country to build itself. I just want to know how many fought in order to help push back the Native Americans who were here first away so that white colonists could, or colonists of all colors could take over the country.
First of all, that's the white man's war. The black men were slaves. They had no choice in the matter. So if any blacks fought fighting Indians, that's the white man's fault. We were slaves. When you're slaves, you don't have a lot of choice between death or do what the white master says. So that's the white man. So that's not a problem at all.
All right, well, thank you.
One more question. Really quick. What did Dark Butters do with Butters? I miss Mantequilla.
He'll be back. I'm not sure. Gator talked to him. I haven't talked to him in a couple of days. Thank you. Well, sorry I have to be abrupt, but we're just never going to get these calls. Mike Hansel, go. Sir.
Mike, are you there?
Mike, you're about to get bounced.
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, shut up.
Right. Yeah,
He's funny, man. I can't just. Okay, let's take another caller. Dark Butters, go ahead. You're on the Killstream. Go ahead.
What's up, Ralph? What's up, guys?
Nothing, man. Buddy. Doing the show, yeah.
I have the answer to Blackskin's question about who made those all those women be single mothers for 250 years. The other tribes that enslaved those people and sold them to the Europeans and the Arabians And South America, those people that conquered their own people and sold them around the world, instead of using that slave labor to build up their own societies, they sold them out to other people. And I know, yes, we did eventually start catching our own later, but slavery's been a practice since the Romans.
You're deflecting again, and you didn't answer the answer. In America, who made?
I just started talking. I can't be deflecting again if I just started talking. Hold on, you are not going to outsword me, sir. Not in my own realm.
Please, God, gentlemen.
Let's talk Butterstock. It's funny.
Well, I'm just saying, like, if are you telling us that white people are the optimal people at deploying African slaves? Or are you saying that the Africans were incapable of deploying their own slaves to build amazing societies, or that they lacked the resources? I'm just trying to understand the train of logic.
Okay, what I'm saying to you is, I've said to Vince and everybody here, what went on in Africa, that's their issue, right? In America, for 250 years, without a doubt, the white man made the black woman a single mom for 250 years. So it's funny, Vince complained about that.
That's a terrible argument. That's a terrible argument. No. You're willing to hold America. Okay, I'll let you go ahead. Go ahead, finish, and then let me say something.
You didn't say that he didn't let you finish. So go ahead, finish. Go ahead.
Yeah, so for 250 years, the white man in America made the black woman a single mom. The white men raped the black woman. They bred the black woman. They sold and auctioned the black woman. This is without refute, right? For 250 years. So if Vince wants to talk about 30 years of single motherhood, look no further than slavery, 250 years. I'm done.
All right.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Can I say something? Yeah, really quickly here. If we look at but he literally sounds like Butters.
He does, man. He sounds just like. Sorry, gave that name. Go ahead.
Yeah. If we look at this, if we were to draw out, and I wish that I was actually showing this on screen, if we were to draw out a chain, right, like a chain reaction here. So for the entire night, Blackskin is Amazing has been arguing that because the reason why the black community has this high out of wedlock rate, the reason why the black community has this high crime rate, the reason why the black community commits over half of all the homicides, the reason why this, that, and the other is because of slavery. So we draw a chain and we go back to slavery. So he's willing to hold the white people for conducting slavery in America accountable, and also pass the blame off onto white people for all of the things that I just mentioned. But he's not willing to hold the blacks who sold the slaves in Africa accountable if we continue down that chain reaction. So his arguments throughout this entire night are completely invalid, because when you're willing to say, well, because of this, because the reason why this is happening is because this happened before, well, why don't you go back to the beginning of it? What started that chain reaction here? You can't have your cake and eat it too, as they would say, right?
Okay, Vince, if you followed me or heard me ever before, the blacks in Africa were wicked, vile, evil, disgusting. What they did to my people for hundreds of years, shipping us out to the Caribbean, to South America, to America, what the Africans did is just as vile as what Hitler did to the Jews. And so what they're going through and their own great grandkids. So that's why it's their issue. I condemn them just as much as I condemn the white
man. But you just said that we leave that in Africa. That has nothing to do with.
But you asked me if I condemn them. I condemn them fully.
You condemn them just as much as white people.
Just as much, absolutely. They did him to us. How could they not? Like the kings admit that. Like what we did to the blacks is beyond human. It's just sickening and disgusting. So yeah, I condemn.
So if the black kings didn't sell the blacks into slavery, do you think that like let's say that the Black Americans just immigrated here, for instance. Let's say that they just immigrated here instead. And do you think that the crime rates would be as high? Do you think that there would be such of a problem that we're seeing in the Black community today?
First of all, the Africans, Africans would have stayed in Africa. The white man is the one who likes to go around and conquer and colonize it. Black
Africans like to stay in Africa. Are you serious? Like, do you understand what's going on right now with like migration to Europe? I mean,
yeah, because what they did. Okay, you can't get rid of 100 million blacks, right? Through the Arab slave trade and slave trade, and not expect super damage. They're dealing with damage. That's why they're leaving, because you took out 100 million of your best people and sold them. I think it's funny that now they have to come here to live off of us, the country that was founded on black slaves that they sold. Now they have to come and eat off us. It reminds me of the biblical. Had to go to the brother and feed off him, not knowing that he was the brother. It's the same.
do you understand what it was like in Africa in the 1500s? Do you think it was like paradise?
In Africa, it was paradise, dude. We're living next to the lions, the zebras, like he likes.
Holy shit!
We were living
shit.
I'm not sure it's like that. All right, man. Let's see. We'll take.
Right.
We got like 2 more callers.
Sitting on your thrones.
Oh, we were just living in the jungle and in the desert. We're living amongst. Living off grid. I would love to live like that, brother.
You can't just live next to a lion. I mean, like, it's not just.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, have you seen Tiger King? Like,
yeah, they'll kill you.
Hey, you hear me?
Go ahead, Nick. Yeah, go ahead.
Hang on. I wish the blacks never sold us. There would be nothing greater than living in Africa.
I did fall asleep. I did fall asleep.
But hold on a minute. You live in like a white ethno state.
Yeah, I am.
That, right?
But the
caller, not you.
Caller, hold on. Caller, just wait a second, because they started arguing again. Go ahead.
Sorry,
Ben.
go ahead.
It's okay. I like you guys arguing, but okay. Let me unmute.
But
now, caller, now we can hear you again. I had to hit you with the mute. Go ahead.
Vince,
he's here.
Can you hear me?
Yes, he can.
Yes.
Good, man, because you're that's great. But if black skin, is he a man of the Lord?
I don't know. Are you asking me or?
No. Well, no, I'm not exactly asking you. But well, can we ask him?
Go ahead, black skin. Are you a Christian or a man of the Lord or Muslim?
That's a white man's religion. I'm an agnostic, brother. You can't prove God.
Okay.
I'm not some white. That Christianity is a white master shit that they forced down black slaves throughout there. I'm agnostic. Science says you cannot prove God exists or does not exist. You can't prove it. So I'm not going to believe in something that you can't even prove that exists. Let alone you can't prove there's heaven or hell or Satan, demons, and angels. Science says you can't prove any of that shit, dude. The Bible is fairy tales. People walking on water, fire tornadoes coming down with fire chariots in the Old Testament and took up, Josiah. Moses split the sea in half, walking through.
I mean, really? Like,
we get it. We get it.
All right, thank you, caller. I appreciate you bringing that up real quick.
No, hang on.
I know, we have to be quick. We have to be quick. Go ahead. I'll let you.
I know. Come on, man. I've been sitting here since the very beginning in the calls.
Well, you're wasting your time. Speak. Go.
Oh, come on. All right, look. Like Vince James, you're like you're doing God's work, and I don't necessarily.
Then I'll be goddamn. This fucking internet did not. Oh my god.
Hey, give him another chance. Give him another chance.
He's a godly man. We have to.
All right.
Now,
give him another chance because I want to hear the compliment. Okay. I'm just joking. I'm just joking.
Mick, repeat what you just said. We didn't hear any of it because your internet
cut out, bud.
Okay. All right. So Vince James, like I respect what you do. I like as a brother, I love you, and you do great. You do a great job, and I'm glad you're still on YouTube. But unfortunately, you have a limited amount of time, man. They're gonna do what they did to James Alsep. They're gonna fuck you.
Please don't. Please don't. No negative energy. No negative energy.
Hey,
okay?
Don't hit me with them negative waves, Moriarty.
If I was him,
I'm sorry. I don't.
It's not gonna happen.
But look.
It's not gonna happen.
So, all right. I hope it doesn't. Absolutely hope it doesn't. But this is what I believe. All right. So, y'all can listen to me for a second. So
we can if you'll say it. Go.
I'm saying it. But good men do nothing. Bad men do everything. Right?
I've not heard that saying, but
yeah, I haven't heard it either. I mean, honestly, as far as like
wait, hold on. Is that an actual saying, or did you just fucking make that up right now?
No, yeah, that's a real thing.
Oh, okay. I've just not heard it then. Okay, all right.
You haven't because I just made it up. You haven't because I just made it up.
Thank you, caller. Excellent creativity here.
Hey, Ralph. Yeah, really quick on YouTube. I mean, honestly, I've had videos taken down and I've spoken pretty much directly with people at YouTube and had them restored. I mean, I honestly, like, I haven't had a video that actually stayed down on YouTube in the longest time. So hopefully positive vibes here. Yeah. But I do have, of course, DLive and I do have BitChute and
I found the Telegram. You're on Instagram. There's a lot of
Telegram, right? Instagram. Oh yeah, Instagram. Right. Oh, also, when you get a chance, play what I put in the show links.
Oh, I will do. Okay. Actually, Gator will have to play it. Gator, if you can pull that up. If Gator's still alive, he's the one hosting.
Oh yeah, I'm still here.
It's basically what Blackskin sounded like the entire night.
Acts 3:22 says that quote was from Jim Beam. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
TC, the good prophet James Beam.
Yes. TC 457823 with the Ninjagini. I'm gonna take one more. Man, fuck! I hate to do this to the callers, honestly, because I know some of them have been waiting so long. Can we take 2 callers, Vince? I know you've given us a lot of time. I just hate to.
No, I don't. Yeah, of course. All right, go ahead.
I know
I was just taking it.
I can take the rest if Vince wants to go. That's cool. We did our debate.
No. You can go. I'm fine. It's only 8:30 here, so.
Oh, see, this was just as fun as I thought it would be. I set this up not knowing that we would have, 2.5 weeks or whatever, a week and a half.
I told you who he was. I said
I know him. Yeah,
okay.
It's fun. Like, I mean, we could have had this debate with somebody else, and it would have been, more nasty. I don't know. I think this was a good show, actually. Okay, let's take another caller. Okay, Darth Taco, you're on the Killstream. Go ahead.
Just as many murders against themselves, so they nullify.
Well, that makes sense. They're like the majority of the country.
No, it doesn't. No.
Actually, that's not even true. That's not even true.
Hang on. There's no threshold. White people should not be. After white people stole the Native Indians' land, right? Then stole African American. They looted
They were
America.
sold.
No. Then the white man wants to turn around. What, 100 million of us through slavery and Jim Crow? No, it doesn't matter, but the point still stands. You can't sit here and say, well, you blacks are killing each other and not think about 350 years
You
of
are.
and
You are.
Native Americans, right? Yeah, but white people are killing each other at the same rate, right? Who kills 90% of white people? White people. 90% of black people. 90% of Mexicans.
Well, like
Okay, whites take responsibility of killing 5,000 of themselves.
They
4,000.
They do actually. They go to jail, but when black people get arrested, oh, it's white people. Oh, how dare you arrest me? That's why we're having all these protests because a meth head, crackhead got killed.
No, we're gonna use your standard. Do blacks not go to jail?
Okay.
Do blacks not go to jail? Yes.
Of course, because they do the crime.
Oh, okay, then.
The crime,
okay,
yeah.
then. You answer your question. Whites go to jail. Blacks go to jail. We're all the same, dude.
Okay, then why are blacks whining about not being treated the same when everybody else is going to jail for doing crimes, but they whine about it when they do crime and they resist arrest, and apparently we have to have an entire riot in the whole country and ruin everything basically. So they don't take responsibility for themselves. They don't. They should find Jesus instead of burning churches.
Hang on, blacks don't take responsibility. How? Like, what do you mean? Blacks don't take responsibility? Wow.
They don't.
They don't.
They bitch and whine about whitey every time they do something. Oh, I'm arrested, so I guess that's a white supremacist arresting me. Like, why do you think we're having these riots?
Okay, I'm gonna answer that question. Okay, let's take the question of weed, right? Weed, cannabis, right? Who made that illegal? Weed. It wasn't. The Indians had this for 100,000 years.
We should be legal, actually.
No. Who made weed illegal?
I guess white people. Sure.
Oh, come on, don't give me yes. Just answer the damn question. Who made weed illegal in America? White people, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. Blacks have a right to complain against that. Like, you're making something that's been here for.
I mean, I'm sure white people complain about it too.
Like, come on, that's bullshit.
All right.
No, that's bullshit.
Okay.
Right.
I just wanted to ask that question.
I'm glad you got in, Dark Taco. Thank you for calling in, man.
Okay, thank you.
There has never been a time.
The white man sells the weed like a buffalo.
Jesus Christ.
He's not here. Okay, go ahead. Did you want to say something, Vince, or do you just want me to keep moving? Or?
Yeah, no. When we're talking about taking responsibility for your actions, what I was saying throughout the entire night was that every time that I brought up how these things have gotten worse, just over the past few decades, black skin has put it back on whites. Every time that we hear about mass incarceration, it's put back on whites. Every time that we hear about doing poorly in school, it's put back on whites. Every time that we hear about high dropout rates, it's put back on whites, even though there's a direct correlation to fatherless homes there. Every time that we talk about fatherless homes, it's put back on whites. That's what we talk about when we talk about not holding people accountable. It's like they're and Devin, it's not the white man's fault because these things have gotten worse in the past few decades. Even though we are further away from all of the things, the terrible things that you were talking about earlier on in the show. This is what we're talking about by not taking responsibility, not only taking responsibility, but not being held accountable by anyone. I mean, we're the list of excuses for black criminality is long. Black criminality is a far bigger issue in the United States of America than racism is. Black criminality is a far bigger issue in the United States of America than police brutality is. And the numbers show this.
Okay, you want to talk about numbers?
Wait, Blackskin, before you respond, please send me Devin Sack's email, Vince, because I've been trying to get hold of it.
Yeah, I'll text him. Yeah, he made a perfect analogy. He said he made a perfect analogy. He came up with this Twilight Zone episode. There was an episode of the Twilight Zone, and apparently within this episode of the Twilight Zone, and I've sort of made this analogy before, but he sort of put it all together. There was this child who was able to, I don't know, I didn't watch it, but basically zap people out of existence if they made him upset.
That's one of the best episodes.
So you had right. So you had to make sure that you pleased this child at every step of the way. And if you upset them in the slightest, they would zap you into non-existence. And basically what he said is that's essentially the black community, that if you upset them in any way, shape, or form, they'll burn your fucking city to the ground. And that's true. And this is what we're talking about by not being held accountable and also not taking responsibility for your actions. If you don't want the police to police you at the rates that they're policing you, stop committing the crimes. And this starts with fatherless homes, which has gotten worse over the past few decades. I mean, there's a way stronger correlation to fatherless homes, or to as far as like the crime rates are concerned, to fatherless homes than socioeconomic status, which only makes up a tiny sliver, a very tiny sliver of the portion of overrepresentation of crime, according to most studies that I've seen. On top of this, the socioeconomic status is also correlated to two-parent households. We know this, right? We know that it's about 60,000 for two-parent households for household income, and about 30,000 for single individuals. So when are you going to look at yourselves and say, well, this cannot go on? We cannot look up to gangsters and rappers created by Hollywood, created by Atlantic Records, created by people that wouldn't even consider themselves white in a lot of cases.
David Geffen, Jerry Heller. Yeah, that's who created
when are we going to start? When are we going to start looking within ourselves and start making a change? I've done this. So I used to and real quick story here. I used to be like sort of like a troubled kid. I used to do certain things before I was 18, before I was an adult, right? So this was back, of course, when I was smoking weed. I don't smoke weed. I don't drink alcohol anymore. I had a problem with alcohol. Irish, it is true. All of the things are true about Irish and their whiskey, at least for me. And I would always say that, man, the cops are always fucking doing shit to me. There was one time where the cops took my car, and then they took my license, and then they stole my license. They said they didn't have my license, and so I couldn't get my car out of the impound lot. And for the longest time, I blamed the police because of that. But I put myself in the position. That led me to getting my car impounded. And when I started to look at myself and change myself, that's when I was able to make myself better, make myself a better man, and eventually go on and get married, have kids, things like this. And then
I just want to say something because I could not agree more. I mean, honestly, the cops fucked me over, plenty of times. And I did, I suffered a big penalty, and I don't think it was fair. But that being said, I put myself in that spot, and then I look at all the other, I was living the wrong way, basically. Not even just to a small degree, to a large degree, I was completely just not doing right. I mean, I don't know.
Right. I got pulled over on the way to pay my ticket. I got pulled over on the way to pay my ticket for the last time I got pulled over one time. I was like, man, it was
tough. And then when you're caught in the cycle too, you're like, oh wow, they're picking on me. Like, what the fuck? Why won't they? And sometimes they are picking on you. But it's because you made yourself a target to get picked on by living like an outlaw. Okay. Let's. Oh man, we are up against it. I'm gonna take 2 more callers, and then I'm gonna read the. Actually, I'm gonna see.
Hang on, you didn't give me a chance to answer. Hang on.
Okay, if you want to say something, I'm never.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Vince talked about blacks never taking responsibility. Okay. Who corralled the blacks into the ghettos of America? Throughout.
Oh man, the white man is at fault. You're right. Your white man is at fault.
No. If you look at the Brookings Institute, and any scholar will tell you it's true. The white man forced blacks into the ghettos of America, right? So that's why it's the white man's fault. Everything that goes on.
Who sold the slaves to the white man?
No.
We can go back along this chain, like I explained.
No. Hey, let me talk. Brookings Institute, right? And every other think group says it's true. Even Ben Shapiro says it's true that whites forced blacks into the cities, into the ghettos. It's called redlining and covenant, and home covenants, where they wouldn't sell blacks homes where whites live. Only in the ghettos blacks could live.
I mean, that definitely happened. Yeah, there's no doubt.
So exactly. So through that forcing of financial starvation is where you get all the violence and the single mother, because the white man. So as Ethan just said, yeah, it's true. So it's true.
I mean, they redline. Yeah, they did that. I mean, that's fine.
Yeah, they did redline, but we're talking about. But the blacks have been living in the ghettos. Blacks were living in the ghettos. The blacks were living in the ghettos prior to even that. So if we go back and we look at the crime rates and the fatherless home rates back then, they were better than they are today. This is my entire argument right now.
Now, there's also
in the 60s, in the 60s, in the 60s, in the 70s, in the 70s as well. The fatherless home rate was way better in the 70s. The fatherless home rate was better in the 80s for the blacks.
So you're saying that if a father's home, right, if they're married, right, that everything should be perfect then. That's what you're saying, right?
That's what the data says. That
I'm asking you. So
okay, that's what I'm saying. I'm trying to explain. Ask me a question, I'll explain. The out of wedlock rate is directly correlated. 60% of juveniles who drop out of school grew up in a fatherless home.
I know that data. I know the data.
60% of prisoners in prison grew up in a fatherless home. 70% of teens who have a teen pregnancy grew up in a fatherless home. So yes, of course, is the answer.
Oh, okay. So Ethan says it's true that whites did corral.
I mean, all I said was they redline people. I mean, that's a fact. I mean, Vince said the same thing. Everybody knows they redline people. Yeah.
That didn't start.
Exactly.
Now, there are arguments to why they might want to redline somebody from the black community as well.
Because they commit a fuck ton of crime.
Right, but anyway.
Okay, so now we're going to bring it back to fatherless homes. I mean, single moms, right? Vince, would you want, since you're admitting that, yeah, it is true, white people financially devastated blacks, right? Through slavery, Jim Crow, and redlining afterwards, right? So would you want, I don't know if you have a daughter or not, but would you want her to marry a poor man, right? Would you want her to marry somebody that was just flat out poor?
A foreman?
Of course not. Of course not. So that's one of the reasons why there's such a high singlehood mother rate in the black community, because the white man financially damaged black people, right? So women naturally want to bang, right? But they don't want to marry someone who's poor. So black men on average are way poorer than white men. So therefore, black women aren't going to marry a black man because, like, hey, you're poor, I'm poor, we can fuck, but why marry you? Also, right? Also,
holy shit.
No, hang on. Also, the lessening of being a single mom. Like, if you want to talk about percentages, right? The single motherhood rate for the white community in the 1960s was like 3 to 5%. Now it's like 35%. So we only rose like 3%. I mean, 3 times as much. White singlehood mother has rose 10 times as much. So if you want to look at that way, whites are way off. Way better off, I mean, way worse off, because they only had 3 to 5% single moms in the 60s. Now it's 35 up to 40%, right? So that's 10 times.
Fatherless homes is an issue for all communities. Yeah, I've said that in my show several times. But the issue is
why are you looking at blacks then when you're saying whites do it too? Why?
Well, it's not just the fatherless homes that correlate to crime here. I mean, there's a lot of things that also are heavy predictors of crime. IQ is a heavy predictor of crime. It's a heavier predictor.
Okay, stop. Where's IQ in the brain? Where's IQ?
Hang on. You've spoken. You're going to have to let me finish now.
Where's
Because
IQ
I was
in the
trying to complete a thought here.
Okay.
So there's a lot of things that directly correlate to crime. There's a lot of things that are greater predictors of crime than, for instance, social status, educational status, and economic status. For instance, 2 things are: number one is fatherless homes. I think that there's a couple of graphs that I've showed on my show. People have drawn regression lines and have shown that this is one of the greatest predictors of crime in America. Number 2 is IQ. And then when you couple IQ averages with high testosterone, it makes it even worse. So there's a lot of different things that are to blame for crime. I'm talking about the things that you can do that you can fix yourselves, that would take care of a lot of the crime and would take care of a lot of the problems that the black community are experiencing. And you just keep passing the blame off onto the white man because you say, well, look at what happened. Who brought us here? Who did this to that? Well, then I can just say the same thing about the black kings, and queens who sold the slaves to the white man. I mean, we can keep going back. You can't just stop the chain of blame at a certain point just because it's convenient. You understand what I'm saying? No, it's convenient. No, it's convenient. No, you're stopping the chain of blame because it's convenient. And you're extending the chain of blame.
No, Vince, answer the question. Is it American history that we're talking about in America? And is that American history when you bring up African kings and what went on in Africa? Is that American history? Yes or no?
African kings and queens? Yes, that is not American history. That is your African history that I posted in the show links.
Answer the question. Is that American history?
I posted in the show links.
Let me pull that up.
No, that is the African history.
Okay, there you go. We're talking about American history, right? So therefore, the white man. Now, hang on. You said IQ. Where's IQ in the brain? I hear you say that a lot of your shows. Where is it? How much does it weigh? And how do you locate it? Because I looked it up, and every scientist I said, hey, IQ is bullshit, dude. The brain is the most.
IQ is bullshit? Why does the NASA? Why does the Marines? Why does every single military institution use some form of or fashion of an IQ test? Why does the NFL use some form of the IQ test? Why do everyone still use the IQ test if it's completely bullshit? Don't you think that NASA would have the best scientists that exist? Why would they still be using the IQ test?
Okay, check this out. If you're saying IQ tests matter, right? What was it? Okay, you said you went to the doctor because you broke your foot, right? Did you ask your doctor? Yeah. Did you ask your doctor?
Well, you watch a lot of my content, don't you?
Ask you a question.
He's very well versed on a lot of. I didn't
did you ask?
Did
you ask the doctor what was his IQ?
What did I ask the doctor? What was his IQ?
You asked the doctor what was his IQ.
I did not.
Okay, so it doesn't matter, dude. Can you do the job or not? You see, it's bullshit. You use IQ as a bullshit, but you don't go around and say
this is ridiculous.
No, it's not, because you don't do that, because it doesn't matter. What matters is, can you do the job? No one goes around and asks their doctor what's their IQ. You ask them, can you do the job? That's the only thing that matters.
I mean, usually I don't say shit to my doctor.
You don't think that doctors have to pass some sort of a test or go through some sort of training or something like this? You don't think that if they couldn't do it, they would have failed? You know, I'm pretty sure that doctors have to pass some sort of a test, which also does correlate to IQ. It does correlate to your intelligence. Your intelligence allows you to do certain things and doesn't allow you to do other things, right?
Yes, listen. Scientists have looked up, talked about IQ, and they all say conclusively that IQ is a bullshit, fake news myth.
No, they haven't. That is not true.
I looked it up, Vince. They said, one doctor said, how in the hell can you take the most complex object known in our universe, the human brain, and boil it down to a couple of tests on paper? He was laughing. It's ridiculous.
No one's doing that. No one's boiling it down to a number on a piece of paper. No one's doing that.
You are. That's what you do. You take these tests and go,
no, we're not.
Oh, okay. What is IQ tested? If it's not a test on paper, what is it?
It is a test on paper, but we're not talking about boiling the entire human brain down to a couple of numbers on a piece of paper. That's not what they're doing at all. You know, there's like I said, there is. I don't know what you're talking about. That all of the scientists have said that IQ is bullshit. Then why in the world do all of our institutions still use the IQ test, some form of the IQ test? Because there are several forms. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. NASA uses the IQ test.
No one uses IQ test for that shit, brother. They don't.
What?
And check.
They don't use the IQ test for what?
Hey, where is the IQ in somebody's brain? Where is it? How much does it weigh? Let's talk empirical here.
Where is NASA's astronaut IQ test?
Vince, where is IQ in the brain and how much does it weigh?
Astronaut requirements. I'm just looking at the requirements for NASA astronauts. I'm pretty sure last I checked, they needed to pass some sort of an intelligence test.
It's not an IQ test, Vince. So, Vince, let me ask you a question. Where is IQ in the brain and how much does it weigh?
Oh, here it is. Let's see.
Vince, answer the question. Where is the IQ?
I'm just trying to figure out exactly what type of IQ test NASA uses.
You're full of shit, dude. They don't take that shit. Vince, where is IQ in the brain and how much does it weigh?
You cannot. What are you talking about? IQ is not tangible.
You said IQ is real. Okay, fine. Where is it in the brain and how much does it weigh?
Why do I have to log into this? This is bullshit.
Hey, Vince, answer the question.
IQ is not tangible. What are you talking about?
Okay,
this is ridiculous.
Then don't sit there and put a number on it when it's not tangible. And check this out, Vince.
Do you understand the definition of tangible?
Yeah, something you can touch, right?
Right. So IQ would be what? What would be the opposite of that? What would be the opposite of tangible? What is the word?
Do mathematical truths, right?
No. What is the opposite of tangible? Do you know that at least?
Tell me.
No. I'm asking you. Do you know what the opposite? Do you know what the word is for the opposite of tangible?
I'm asking you. I'm telling you. Tell me.
Okay, so you don't know. Is that what you're saying?
No, I don't know.
Okay, it's intangible. So, if we think about it in the concept of the NFL, when we hear people talk about the intangibles of the quarterback, or we hear people talk about the intangibles of other people, this is what they're talking about here. Yes, NASA also does use an IQ test, by the way. That is confirmed. So I don't know what you're talking about here. That's all the scientists that you read. What scientists, what paper are you reading? What scientific journal are you reading where the scientists said that IQ is absolutely bullshit?
Oh, read it.
And
Okay.
while we still use the IQ test for basically every institution in America.
Fine. Look up, just Google Canadian scientists. Just look up Canadian scientists prove IQ is fake. Just Google that and you'll find it. Where scientists studied MRIs, right, of our brains and said, dude, there's no such thing as IQ.
Right. So
You
I can
Google
find a shit. I mean, I'm thinking of 10 studies off the top of my head that disprove your particular position on this. We can go back and forth on this, but this is literally making me dumber right now. And as it gets to like 9 o'clock,
okay, hang on. You said intangibles. You can't prove these intangibles, right? So therefore, you can't sit there and say, "Well, intangible is equal to IQ," because you're proving that. No, intangible is something you can't put a hand on. You're like, he's got these intangibles, but we can't measure it, but he has it, right? IQ, you're saying you can measure it. That goes against what you just said, Vince. You just defeated your own arguments. You just did.
Look. My girlfriend just came here and she's looking angry and angrier as long as
Ralph's in trouble.
Cool. She's cool.
I get it, man.
She actually looked at me like, "What the fuck?" I was chill when I said that. No, I was just using that for rhetorical.
Okay, let me just finish that question.
My own conscience is getting at me because like we've already been going for 2.5 hours.
Okay, let me just finish with this.
Holy shit! Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Hang on. Harvard University.
I really enjoyed this. So
let me finish. Harvard University has found over 500 intelligent genes, right? And guess what? They say, hey, man, not only have we found 500 intelligent genes, but there's many more, and each one has 10,000 connections. So they said, anyone saying like, well, there's a intelligence difference, we haven't found it. So that's empirical and that's tangible. They found over 500 intelligent genes, and they say, hey, no one can sit there and say, well, there's a difference between black and white intelligence. So that's an empirical study, Vince, you need to look up, that they found these intelligent genes, and they said, hey, you can't sit here and say blacks are smarter than whites. You can't. And your IQ is not intelligent. So no, IQ is bullshit. Look up
That is not true.
All right, now check that out. Now wait, I'm gonna let both of you guys get your final farewell. I do see a Ninja Genie, and I'm gonna go through and read everything. Believe it or not. Now some of them will be questions, and I won't be able to ask them because these people will be gone. But I'm sorry. Also, let me say this: I saw a couple people asking about the microphone. Yes, once again, I'm in the hotel. I lost the cord to my mic. The Rode microphone. I think Vince actually uses a Rode microphone.
Yeah, I have the Rode. I think I have the same one as you do.
Yeah, you have the exact same one I do. Yeah. But I don't have a cable for it. That's the difference between me and you. And I didn't have time to fuck around and go by the Best Buy to buy a new one. But
well, they won't even let you in the store anyway.
Well, that's probably true, actually. But I'll go ahead and order. Plus, they charge like fucking $25 or something crazy at Best Buy when you can buy it for $6 off Amazon. I hate to give Bezos any more money, but Jesus
I know
Christ.
they've only been growing while all the small businesses have been crushed.
Oh yeah, they've been killing it. Think of how. Oh man, that's a whole. We need to do a show.
That's a whole other show. Yeah.
Oh my god, dude, that seriously needs to be talked about more. Henry Yates II, though, or Henry Yates II, excuse me, Yeats maybe. Sorry if I fucked it up. He says, "I'll give Blackskin $1,000 to take an IQ test and post the results." Is what he said.
I did it in 5th grade. It was 110 in 5th grade.
All right. Well, that's 5th grade.
Yeah, well, that's what it is.
You're saying it's only went up since then. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, exactly. But it was 110 in 5th grade.
Which type of IQ test was it?
I don't know. The school administered it, so it was done professionally. So, and I don't even believe in IQ, but we had to take it. So it was 110.
Oh wait, you wouldn't? Why don't you take another one?
Because IQ is bullshit. Like I said, you can't measure IQ. James admit that you can't measure it. You can't. No.
Yes, you can measure IQ.
So say the number is not an exact measure, ranking of intelligence, but you can still say, well, this was a thorough test, and certain percentage, a certain cut of people did really well on this, and a certain cut didn't. That means they're
Yeah,
dumb as
it's
fuck.
called multivariance. You link other things to certain other things, and then you test. You just control for. I mean, I don't even know why I'm even talking about this right now. Like,
well, I don't think it's the end all be all. I mean, I agree
right.
with that, but I think it. But you can say that about any test. It doesn't have to be an IQ test. It could be, whatever you call
But
it.
but you see, the thing is that there's
aptitude test,
several.
the GQ
There's
test, whatever. Yeah, you're right.
Right. There's several different ones. I mean, you have the Stanford Binet, you have the nonverbal test, you have the ability scales, you have the Peabody individual achievement test. I mean, there's a pretty long list. I think there's like 6 or 7 of them. I just looked it up here on Google. I can see 6 or 7, but I think there's even more than that, different versions of the IQ test. And many are used by many institutions in America still to this day. If they thought that it was bullshit, then they wouldn't use them.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay,
I don't even. Honestly, I don't even want to continue to argue.
Yeah, I don't even care about it.
9:30.
You can't measure it. You can't measure IQ. You can't show me where it is.
You can.
It's bullshit, dude. It's
You can
Canadian
measure
scientists.
IQ.
Google Canadian scientists. IQ. Google it.
IQ is stored in the balls.
Oh, that's right. You're right. I'm sorry. I forgot about that. You're right.
Well-known scientific fact. Vince James, tell them where they can find you, sir.
Yeah, just check me out on DLive, Vince James or Vincent James. I'm not exactly sure what. I think it's DLive. Oh, DLive.tv.
Well over there. I saw you had some big crowds during the riots and stuff.
Yeah, DLive.tv/Vincent James. You could also check me out on YouTube, The Red Elephants. And thanks for having me on, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you, man. I had fun with this. I know some people.
No, it was fun. Yeah, it was fun.
I had a lot of fun with it. And like you said, it kind of went by pretty quickly. You didn't even realize it had been that long.
Right.
But yeah, man, thank you so much for coming. I'm going to let, you can leave or stay, whatever, but I'm going to let Blackskin give his farewells as well. Go ahead. Blackskin is amazing. First time in over 2 years back to Killstream. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, I just want everybody to know, as you saw with Vince, what Vince does is what a lot of white supremacists does. They deflect to Africa, South America. But when you stay in America, America was built upon Black slaves, the foundation. America's music. I know Gator. I love the debate Gator in that because rock and roll, country, hillbilly, jazz, hip hop. I guarantee the music Vince listens to is created by Black people. So America is a Black African American nation at heart, and America owes us America itself because they owe us over $100 trillion. So and as far as today, single motherhood and being poor, that's all the white man's fault. Even you, Ethan, agree. The white man did that.
No, I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
That's all I got to say.
I agreed with but yes. Thank you.
All right, I'm signing off, man.
You know what? I don't even care about I do care about these issues, but I don't care about the argument disagreement about them because I always have fun talking to you. So, and not everybody agrees. Some people really hate you, but you crack me up. So thank you for coming onto the Killstream, sir.
Oh yeah, baby. All right, peace out, baby.
Peace out, baby. Yeah, indeed. Thank you, Vince, as well, man. You have a good one. You're another one I always enjoy talking to, man. And I think he's gone. But
later. Take it easy, man.
Later, man.
Have a good one.
He was waiting to see what Blackskin, what he was going to lob off the wall there. Gator, what did you think before I read all these super chats?
Oh, man.
The audience. Wow, thank you so much. I have to say, unbelievable. I know I sound like shit, and it's because I'm on this fucking laptop microphone, but I wanted to be here. I mean, I almost just let Gator do it, to be honest, and just bowed out. But I wanted to be. I had to be here for Blackskin.
Oh man, you were gonna make me wrangle everybody. Oh.
I almost did it. I was really close to just saying, Gator, could you take this, man? I think I'll just bow out tonight. But I stayed in there. So what did you think?
Man, that was something. This was a little bit of old school because we had Ralph on the 2016 microphone. We had Blackskin is amazing. Hadn't been on since 2018. It was super spicy, just like it was 2018. A little bit of some classic Killstream charm for everybody.
I thought it was good. I know there were like most people enjoyed it. I feel like because we held the audience steadily throughout the show, but there were like 10% hardcore or more who just really didn't like it. But I knew what it was going to be. We've had 2 weeks of serious. I like it because, and I said this on Twitter during the show. It's a way to talk about serious issues, serious topics. And also, it's still fun because you know how Black Skin's going to be. He's going to make it, kind of a little bit goofy, a little bit silly. I don't know. I thought it was good. I knew what it was going to be the whole week. I didn't expect. Some people checked out. A few people I saw them in the chat early checking out. It's like, oh God damn it, I want a serious debate. What is this? What this guy's not taking it. I was like, dude, I guess you didn't look up Black Skin is amazing because that's always what it was going to be.
This is always how it goes.
And I do respect those who didn't like it too. I feel like most did, but I understand that perspective, but it's not one that I hold, and I run the show, so that's how it goes. Thank you, Gator. You can sit around and listen to me read these. Yeah, you got to now, actually.
I have to. I'm running the show here.
I didn't think about that. Okay, let's go through them. Again, thank you so much for the support. You know what? I'm going to read Entropy first tonight because I don't do that, and I should do it now. Dyslexia, by the way, massive support on entropystream.live/the Ralph Retort this evening. Much appreciated. Dyslexia I have says Ralph rubs his hands together as he pits the white man and black man against each other for super chat money. Well, it's about the public square having a debate. Dyslexia I have says 50 to 100 trillion as reparations for slavery. Best I can do is about $3.50 and a carton of menthols.
About $3.50.
Swamp Ghost says this person already admitted that the Indians had to teach the white man how to survive when they got there. Now all of a sudden Indians didn't exist. Then he says, no, Vince, we will pay reparations until the economy collapses, and then it's no holds barred, and we get to start turning them into those lampshades and soaps there. Swamp Ghost says, nah, person, we was making shoes. By the way, I'm out in the hotel. I have to be a little more circumspect here, Gator. You know what I mean. He says, nah, person, we was making shoes. Ah, ha, 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 ha. We was living next to lions and tigers and bears. Oh, my. Dyslexia I have says, I actually agree with Black Skin. What do you say, Gator?
I said shit.
All right. Chat laughing at me having to be a little more careful when I'm out in the public type. It's not public, still hotel room, but you know what I mean. These walls are kind of thin. So I'm a little more thoughtful. Swamp Ghost says, if Gator has to put up with this person, you have to give him all the super chats. I was here the whole time too. What the fuck? All right.
Reparations.
All right. Let me read through these. Shapiro Shuckleberg with a 1 month subscription, 3 subscriptions from Finished Bro. Thank you, man, for giving those out. Much appreciated. I'm going to put out a bonus episode sometime soon. You guys have been supporting on patreon.com/the Ralph Retort, newproject2.com/the Ralph Retort. I haven't gotten one up in I put out an older episode on May 25th, a classic that was hard to find. I haven't gotten a full bonus episode out, to be quite frank, Gator, because we've been streaming so much just regular episodes. Yeah, that I just really haven't. It feels like overkill, and just the time of the day, it's kind of hard to film one.
Dude, we have streamed every single day, with the exception of the 23rd. We went from the 18th of May to the 22nd, and then the 24th all the way to June 5th today.
It's honestly, that was one of the longest runs we've had since 2018, to be honest, of just long streams too. 4, 5, 6, 7 hours without breaking a sweat. Well, I won't say that necessarily, but Funger, let's see where I'm at. Okay, hold on. Funger Rumple says, great train. Oh, wait, I read that one. Blackskin is a great guest. He needs to come back, Rufus T. Yeah, I read that one too. I agree with that, though. He needs to be deployed liberally, or not liberally, but conservatively. Gator, I think, is he has his place. You don't want him there every week necessarily. I like, great guy. Personally, I don't know. He's fun to talk to, honestly. He is kind of incendiary, I guess, maybe on air, but I always got along with him well. He's easy to, talk to or whatever. Neon says, what will blacks do if whites fight back en masse? Future Relic says, no one in history is innocent. Get over it. Chat going, oh, I didn't mean it like that. He has his place. But anyway. Let's see. Neil Moon says, black men sold other black people into slavery. Nurak says, black brains aren't very smart. Wildbagger says, my feeling my face went or my feeling went. My wife said BSIS. I guess black skin is amazing. Sounds like an annoying woman. Neon says black skin. Why did Yakub make us to begin with? Chauvinist says blacks owe reparations to white people. Vince is killing him. Patrick Casey says shout out to Patrick Casey. I didn't even see that. Yeah, this was a crazy one. Tris 2 says 50 to 100 trillion is 150 plus. 50 to 100 trillion is 150 plus countries' total assets. Yeah, that's true. I mean, just off the top of my head, I would say that's true. Shinchan 256B says Blackskin needs to forgive his mother. Neon says Blackskin, what if whites just say fuck it, get the fuck out? Are you just gonna be mad forever? I'll say it like that. Optical Autism says my racism is growing as each second passes. I can't believe I'm reading all these. Yukon Cornelius said, I never owned any slaves. I don't owe you shit. Trust 2 says you asked a question. I'm asking a question. There was a lot of that too. Yeah, a lot of that. Neon says everything is Whitey's fault. Give money, quote blacks. Neela says women became single moms. Wait, women become single moms when they deal with black men, is what she said, Gator. Wow, that had some heat on it.
Oof, yeah.
Mick says, take my call. I took your call, man. We definitely did bring you in. I'm sorry. We gave you a lot of time. I appreciate the support, though. I gave you he was on for 5 or 10 minutes, Gator.
Yeah, it was a while. It felt
completely.
Like
you know what? He was like Killstream level Ralph drunk too.
Well, I don't know if anybody can get that drunk.
Well, yeah, that's a fair point. Cheeseburger Stick says fruitation. Yeah, I heard it's fruition, and I almost said it, but it's you know what? I fuck up and say wrong words sometimes too. That would look petty if I did that. Tris2 says, when are Africans going to give Africans reparations? Yukon Cornelius says, then go ask the Africans for reparations, then Guy. Tris2 says, if Hotep talked to this fool, he'd probably cry hard. That'd be good. Him versus another black person would be good, wouldn't it, Gator?
Yeah. maybe against the captain.
My Vince McMahon signal just went off when I heard that. I just stopped everything I was thinking about and just looked to the side and thought, that might actually be good. All right, we'll see. I don't know. I'll look into it. Shinchan 256 Beast. Oh, Jesse. Oh, my God.
Amazing.
You know, I was already trying to set up the Jesse Lee Boogie intervention. I don't know if that's going to happen. But Jesse Lee versus Black Skin? What do you think about
that? Amazing.
You know what? All right, I'm going to go to work. I'm going to go to work after the show. I mean, not immediately after. But yeah, I'm gonna do that. I think that could be good. I really think that could be good. Actually, I would pay money to see that myself. I'm sitting here thinking, well, you know, if there's just even a fraction of my excitement for that going on, then it will probably work. So, yeah, I'll look into that. Good idea, Shin Shan. Gator, please don't let me forget that.
I will not let you forget that.
Chat's going off just thinking about it. True S2 says original Christians were black Israelites, Utard. Rhythmic Carnage says reestablished the Holy Roman Empire 2021. And Chaz is still going on. Honestly, that's all I can think about now, too, is Black Skin versus Jesse Lee Peterson. TC457823 with a Ninja Guinea. Very kind of you. Thank you so much.
Black Skin, what do you think about the Great White Hope? Oh, God, it's going to be good.
Why are you so fucking good at that? Holy shit.
I watched a lot of JLP. Not as much as Zidane, but I watched a lot.
Oh, man. You know what? I think I can set that up. I hate to put that kind of pressure on me in public I don't even know how many people are still watching because the show is, it's just me talking shit now. Oh, we still have 1,300 total or something watching. But yeah, I think I can make that happen. And I'm going to go ahead and put that pressure on myself in public to make that happen. It has to happen. I have failed. If it doesn't happen, it'll be because I failed. And it's happened before. I have failed, but I don't think
we have to make this happen. We have to.
I don't think it's going to be the case this time. I think I'm going to succeed. So I think you should be looking forward to that. That's what I'm going to put out there. That's what I'm saying right now. All right. Rhythmic Carnage says, I just lost some IQ. I think I just lost some IQ. Red Benzo says, black people were a mistake. is what he said. Mick says Ralph Isnum. Isnum. It actually says ISNUM. I can only assume that that was a compliment. Thank you, sir. TC457823 with 2 Ninjaginis. Very kind of you. Chauvinist says the ghettos wouldn't be ghettos without black people. Well, there were ghettos before. Anyway, let's not get into that. Solid Snake says sick fuck keeps bringing up Vince's wife and daughter. TC457823 gifted 10 1-month subscriptions to users in this channel. So much. Thank you, sir, for that support. And the Ninjaginis as well. Your support, as we said before, Gator, the Killstream is brought to you by viewers like you, as PBS says. That's how we do the Killstream. So thank you so much for anything you can throw out, even just watching, sharing the
and
streams.
support from viewers like you.
Exactly. It doesn't have to be monetary. Sharing the streams, leaving a podcast review, all that shit's great too. Shout out to the podcast gang. Shout out to Killstream Uncut over on YouTube. Go follow them. It's all one word if you didn't know that. Mick says, I want everyone to do better. So do I. TC457823 with a diamond. Thank you so much. Solid Snake says, Ralph, this was your best stream ever. Vince equals king. Well, I thought it was a good show, but thank you. Neon says, you would need a high IQ to be a doctor, dumbass. TC457823 with another 2 diamonds, 4 diamonds. Thank you so much. Neon says, IQ is a bullshit fake news myth. Quote all scientists. TC457823 with a month subscription gifted. Thank you so much. Right Honorable says he thanks IQ. Thanks. Goddamn, I just said thanks. My country came out there for a second, Gator. I try to quell it sometimes, but it doesn't always work. He thinks IQ is a measurable in the NFL Combine. Mega Meme says, where is racism in the brain? How much does it weigh? Henry Yeats 2 says, with a Ninjagini, very kind. I already read that one, but I'll give Blackskin a grant to take an IQ test. Nick says, let me call in, please. Dude, with another diamond. Neon says, life is an IQ test. Jogger, think about that. Lord Senior. Lord Senior WC Law says, did he say you can't measure intangibles? You can't measure intangibles. That's true. Lord Zenu WC. That's why they're intangibles, Gator. Because
Exactly.
you can't measure them. That's the whole point of intangibles. And Vince, I mean, he's talking about NFL quarterbacks and stuff. His intangible. It's just his feel for the game. His knack for winning in big situations. You know what I mean? Or coming through in the clutch.
It's his ability to know where the receiver is when he throws the ball. It's the certain intangibles.
Exactly. Those are the intangibles. This guy has to have the ball 4th quarter. You know what I mean? Like, he's a killer. Fuck.
Sorry, I told you about Brett Favre.
Sorry, I'm going into sports ball mode. Yes, I'm having withdrawals. Can we please start up the leagues again? What the fuck? Funker Rumple says, great. Oh, fuck. How did it flip all the way that far back? Okay. Lord Zenu, WT Law says, no one tell this homie about gravity. Henry Yeats 2 says, can Blackskin explain median, and mode? I don't think he probably could. I don't know, though. I'm trying to think if I could. It's been a while since I've had to answer that question. But we'll see. Maybe I'll answer it on the next broadcast because I'm too many drinks in. I have a hernia says, they aren't saying IQ isn't real. It's just complex. True ST says, can mentally handicapped be scientist? IQ is bullshit. Nick says, I want to read a PL. I don't know what that is, but prayer? Play? Chauvinist says, black IQ weighs as much as rocks. Flamenco with the host. Thank you, sir. DLive.tv/Flamenco. Maximus the Merciful says, fuck your chick didn't call JLP. Get on it, Ralph. True ST says, you can measure intangibles. Google it, Ralph.
Depends on the intangible.
Depends on what intangible. Yeah, exactly. So when I started talking about 4th quarter, I started thinking, well, no. I mean, you can kind of measure that.
You can measure the accuracy of a quarterback.
Yeah, like how do they do on 3rd down? how many come from behind victories do they have? How many game-winning shots has Kobe hit in the fourth quarter? There are ways to measure those types of things, but that wasn't the correct usage of intangibles. is the problem. The killer instinct, the just his effect on other teammates, that type of thing too. You know what I mean? Okay, that's it. I read them all. I think. Hold on, let me double check. Let me check stream elements again. Massive support. I don't know how to thank everybody enough.
We're gonna thank them by trying to get JLP versus Black Skin is Amazing. That's how we're gonna thank them.
That is exactly how I plan to thank them. I like how you put that. Some guy says, I don't want to live in America with this guy. No thanks. Go be an anti-white asshole somewhere else, shitbag. Content consumer says, the poor audio of Vince's opponent is forgivable. The hostile arrogance is unacceptable. How's that mute button working, Ralph? Well, I'm not the host this evening, but I did see some people saying mute him. I mean, that's how he is, honestly. I don't know. It's funny because he's very affable when you talk to him off air or whatever. Like, he's just, I don't know. I think some of it he's definitely saying to rile. I don't think it's not that he doesn't believe it, Gator. But some of the shit he definitely knows that he's saying to rile people up in the chat. So when he starts talking about whites eating shit and all that, like, he's doing that on purpose to fuck with you guys. That doesn't mean that he doesn't believe.
Eat the poo poo out the diaper.
Yeah. He's just throwing that out there to fuck with you. Satan is Lord says, in regards to reptilians being a response to a crime, slavery was legal at the time, and all that rhymes. It does. Mom's webcam says, thanks, Ralph. I used to be too smart for my own good. I feel like I just dropped 30 IQ points listening to this garbage. Thank you. Just Noticing says, I wouldn't want to be in an IRL conversation with this guy. He's likely to get violent if this was an IRL conversation. Is this the best BLM has to offer? Because this is the worst optics. Let's see. Otaku King says, Black Skin is Amazing is an idiot for thinking that clean and empty lands without ugly city buildings is worthless. Let's see. Ethic Eye Roll says, blood libel, much black skin is obnoxious. Oh, wait. It was supposed to be a comment there, I guess. Blood libel much, black skin is obnoxious instead of amazing. They remix it there. Gator, that's it. My voice is like giving out shit at this point. So,
all right. Well, I guess we didn't get to the news segments.
No, news is over. We'll have to catch up on news on Monday. I'm sorry.
Oh, hey, that's fine for me. I've got the closing songs queued up here. So
I just want to thank you, man, for holding down the fort and streaming it. I want to thank the audience as well, as I always should. Thank them even more than I do. Awesome support for the show, and just an awesome fucking 2 weeks. And thank you so much. And that's it.
All right. Farewell, everybody.
Wanna peacefully, some said the Killstream. They trying to peacefully, some said the Killstream. The other night, friends, when I went to tune in, I saw the Killstream had been struck down again. Secret flags and reports, but we all know who's to blame. Can't afford the retort. Jihadi Jarbo's his name. Now you won't take down Ralph or all them channels you strike. So just delete your account. I'm sure there's boulders to find. You can't peacefully sunset the Killstream. You never peacefully sunset the Killstream. You won't peacefully sunset the Killstream. You never peacefully sunset the Killstream. You won't peacefully sunset the Killstream.
And I've got something, since I'm in control of the streaming right now, I'm going to play a song that I chose. Hit it. Already ready. I was already ready.
One mile over, we'll be there and we'll see.